Yo, what's good, everybody? Yo, Amory coming through. I see you. What's good? What's good? What's good? I'm mustering energy. This girl right here taking up all my energy, man. Last couple of days. What's good? What's good? Yo, what up, Adams? Yo, what up? Goss in the building. Yo, what MF in the building with the 15 stream streak. I see Amory out there, of course. Seriously approaching 5 years. I know. 58 months on 58 months, tier one. Yo, thank you so much, Amory. I appreciate you, girl. Day two. Day two, everybody. Labs Bootcamp. Exclamation point Bootcamp. It's good to see everybody. Oh no, we gonna get it up. Some hype shit. What we got? Nah, I'm gonna get the energy up, trust me. Just press is just being a handful. Cool, she over there looking cute, but she's just been a little bit of a handful, that's all. I'm about to sip some caffeine. We'll be good. Yeah. Yeah. Amory been holding me down for almost 5. All right, I'll check out the roses. Am I supposed to check in game, Cowboy, or am I supposed to check like in Discord? Just make sure that I got my YouTube folks up over here. All right. Equipped. Okay. All right. Yep. I'll check it out. Give me a second to kind of get organized here, man. Ugh. All right. Hopefully this tea has cooled down here. I feel the power already. Let's go for caffeine. Oh yeah. All right, man. Now, if you want me to flip you off for real, Colin, that's for you right there. I mean, I ain't got a half step. Yeah, what up, Maz? What's going on, baby? Ain't no half stepping necessary with you. I tell you. Absolute line stepper. Yo, happy Father's Day out there to everybody. Appreciate my dads, man. Appreciate my dad. Let's see. Yo, what up, Zen? What's going on, baby? YouTube chat in the building.
That's the new tech, bro. That's the new tech. The hand cannon one shots.
Sounds like somebody has access to Edge of Fate a little early.
What do you mean?
the new tech.
Oh yeah, the new tech. I was playing Region or something. Not Region.
Oh
I don't remember.
shit! I got frozen.
Scrims.
The fuck?
I got one shot while I was in my golden gun.
I remember. I've got like 3 clips of me tanking.
How much sleep did I get this time? You don't want to know, man. You don't want to know. Yo, Black Alpha G in the building. What's good? What's good? Waltz, you watched that clip to coach me up? I have not yet, man. No, like I barely even got any sleep. As soon as I was about to touch the stream, Pretz decided, "Hey, I'm gonna go poop on your floor." I'm gonna go poop on your floor, so you're gonna have to clean this up, Dad. Even though, Dad, you just took me out. You literally just took me out, and I didn't poop. But I decided I'm gonna poop on your floor, though. Dad, you want to see me poop on your floor? I'm gonna poop on your floor. So then I had to clean that up and let her back out, just so she knows. So yeah, in the end, I did not have the time nor the energy to check out anything. But hopefully I'll be able to get to it this stream right here.
I cannot stand lightweights.
How
All right.
much damage does it do to the head, Steve?
124.
Yeah. So whenever
That's not bad, no?
hey yo,
It's not bad, but it takes 3 arrows.
hey
It
yo,
really
we're
can't
start.
do
Hey yo,
more
we're
than-
starting. And I'm streaming. So let's see. So AK, I assume you're fire team lead.
Yeah.
Okay, take your time. You can finish up with whatever you guys are doing, and then just join me in orbit. And I'll just wait for
I
that.
don't think anyone's prized on the line.
Can we join him right now, actually? Is that fine? Or?
Yeah, I'm in orbit. Yep, come through.
Cool.
Yeah, somebody got the clickety click.
I'm here, Steve. I know where you are. Okay. Okay.
Hope it wasn't liquid. Thank God it was not. But you know, since I'm like anal about that stuff, just in general, I'm gonna still have to like clean my carpet. Thankfully, I ended up grabbing my friend's like spot cleaner, so I don't have to run over the entire floor. You know, with my or I don't have to use my like handheld, you know, upright handheld. So it's been nice. All right. Seeing what this is all about. So you talk about YouTube stream. Do you usually watch YouTube streams over Twitch streams these days? Yeah, take your time. You chilling. I'm late. I can definitely sit here and wait for a little bit. No big deal. Where's a Luke at? I was hoping I'd have somebody here, man. Do. All right, Omelet, you better not be practicing. I was gonna say. Do. Okay, I'll message him. Yep. Of course. I see you there. I appreciate you. You need a 3? No. I needed a Luca if he was available. Or even Calm, but I think Calm is getting on like later. So it's more so about that. But I mean, it's not like I need it. I can do it on my own, of course, but it's always nice to have like a different perspective and you know, a different kind of like line of sight, especially if we're talking about, you know, a Lucas Snipes primarily. So it's always useful to have a sniper's perspective, considering I am primarily like a shotgunner, right? You know, they just give additional areas of focus, you know, hot spots, peak spots, and things along that line that, you know, I wouldn't necessarily use because my one-hit kill weapon is close range, right? So all good. Ooh, all right, caffeine's starting to kick in. All right, I like it. Let's start setting up this lobby a little bit here. And then I'll kind of recap exactly what today is about. Yesterday was about knowledge, dropping information, helping with any build crafting, giving framework on build crafting, answering any specific questions regarding, you know, just anything when it comes to the preparedness, you know, for like a competitive setting, setting people up hopefully for success when it comes to how to think about and setting expectations about, you know, competitive play and improvement in particular. You know, I think a large part of setting expectations for competitive play, doesn't matter what type of competitive play. It could be, like I said, basketball. It could be pickleball. I don't know, you know, is you got to fall in love with the improvement journey, right? You have to fall in love with the improvement journey, not the destination. You know, if you're like playing a sport because of the or if you're not in love with the improvement journey, the progress, the day to day, seeing that progress unfold, then it's gonna be real rough. It's gonna be real rough because then you end up, comparing yourself to, other folks and stuff like that. Because where you want to be is where they are, or that's where you perceive that they are. It's just not good mental. So you got to fall in love with the process. You got to fall in love with the improvement journey, and that's really where you'll see the greatest benefit, both in your progress and also in the mental every day. Yo, what up, Shadow? What up, Gray Main? Happy Father's Day. What's good, Cliche? Yeah, Zen. I appreciate it though, brother. All right. We just set this up real quick, and then I'll run it down here. That on 30. What? That's stupid. I don't want people to go crazy. They see they're supercharged up and. All right, cool. What's good? What's good? What's good? Looking young today? Trying to get my energy up. Okay. And I talk to them. Why is there so many people? Oh, well. Oh, that's crazy. People just joining private match lobbies and don't even know what's going on, yo. Crazy. Crazy, man.
Is like one of the best title sets.
This one thing I have from Opulence is pretty peak though. Look at the grips I just equipped Speeve.
Let's see. Oh, those ones.
All right. I think Autumn Leaf is a talker. So today, let's go ahead and step up the energy. So today, all right. Yesterday was the knowledge, preparedness, the mental, the mindset, but it was also kind of giving just on paper, knowledge when it comes to build crafting, when it comes to uh, when to peak, how to support your teammates, how to navigate better impact in the game when things aren't going well for you, right? That was a great question by Arius yesterday. Like, what do I do when it's just a super laggy game and I can't make the same impact that I usually make? What do I do when they just got my number? It's a perfectly fine game, but they just have my number and I can't get things done in the game. All types of great questions. If you want to check out the answers to those, you can check out the VOD from yesterday. Otherwise, I'll be like slicing that up and putting a video on YouTube because I think that session went really well. And there's some really good information in that session from yesterday. So really proud of everybody for some great questions. And hopefully I did the answers justice. I think it went really well. So today is about kind of like boots on the ground. Yo, what up, Gabe? Yo, what up, Gray? Happy Father's Day, everybody. Yeah, radar. Yep, Starlight was there for the. Yep, we were talking about the radar stuff. We did a little bit of VOD review as well, so that was just a blessing, and that was really, really good. So I appreciate everybody that sent in the VODs. Today is going to be about boots on the ground, practical knowledge. Like actual, getting in there, nitty gritty, checking out some positioning and rotations. Those are the big ones for today, honestly. Like if there's anything we're gonna get to today for sure, it's just kind of locking down any answers with regards to positioning and rotations in a competitive setting, so that folks can get to their spots, both individual and team spots, as safely as possible and be able to make an impact as quickly as possible in those engagements, right? So that's going to be the majority of today. And hopefully we'll be able to get another high level player to come through at some point and give a couple of other thoughts, maybe some perspectives, especially like somebody, like I said, that snipes or, does something different than I do, give an additional perspective. But, I'm well versed in this. So if that doesn't happen, then that's totally fine. And, we'll keep it moving. But yes, be thinking about questions that you guys have with regards to, what we're about to go over. And that'll give me some direction once we drop down. And yeah, I don't know if we'll have time today to do any actual like reps. You guys will be able to feel free to do that on your own. That's what the Discord is like set up for and all of that. We will definitely do a 1s and 2s session sometime within the next like week, maybe like next weekend or so. But probably don't have the time/energy for it today myself. But like I said, you guys can, the Discord is set up. You guys can do that on your own once you finish up. It's up to you guys. But I'll definitely, like I said, put it in my schedule to try to make something happen for that next week with you guys. And maybe, I'll take one team and a Luca or another high level player will take lead on another team. Let's get right to it, man. Let's get right to it. I'm going to scarf down some more caffeine and let's get right to it, man.
In my clan, and these guys have been trying a like 3-man DS Deep Stone for like the last
That's light.
like 4 hours, I swear.
Okay. Y'all ready? We about to get started here.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yep, I'm
If you don't mind, just like muting until, a relevant time, whether you like have a question or, whether, I prompt you guys or something like that, that'd be helpful so we don't overwhelm the stream. And then like half of you go down to the like I'll go ahead and move down just so I could launch the game. Don't worry about like shooting anything or anything like that. We're just going down to, and everybody just hang around me and we're going to go over some stuff. So today, if you were catching the stream as well, and of course yesterday, today is about positioning, rotations, and timing. Positioning, rotations, and timing. I'll start with a couple things as we kind of go down. But yeah. First, I think one of the things that helped me out the most when I first started to play more competitively and get into scrims in particular, speed boots. Speed boots. Never underestimate speed boots. Whenever you're thinking in your head, man, I'm having trouble getting, keeping up with, the pace of this game, keeping up with higher level players, more experienced players, or, or just games just in general, which is totally fair as well. Speed boots can give you a degree of forgiveness, basically. It can be even like the sort of thing where it's just like, I don't necessarily know in this situation, or I chose the wrong direction and now I'm going to have to go back to the other direction, like as far as the rotation or something like that, and I'm having to catch up. It can give you a degree of forgiveness simply because of the fact that you're able to run faster, right? You're able to sprint faster. And so that was something that helped me a lot, actually. That's like the number one thing that helped me a lot once I started doing scrims, was to just make sure that I was running speed boots no matter what character I was on. And then it took me a while. It definitely took me a while to kind of be able to phase off of that. But once you get the positioning, once you get the rotations pretty consistently, then like it's easier to come off of the speed boots and turn this down a little bit. To come off of the speed boots and utilize other exotics. So that's number one. Otherwise, let's see. How do I want to start this? Let's start with positioning. Let's start with positioning. So everybody come to like helipad spawn. Everybody come to helipad spawn.
I just got kicked out of the game. I'll reconnect. Hold on.
Okay. You already have a question? Okay, I'll prompt you guys for questions in a second here. Like maybe in a couple minutes after I kind of go over initial. So the first thing I'm going to go over is kind of like spawn protection elements, and like these concepts you can generally apply. Definitely, you can generally apply to like any map. But you know, I thought I'd start with Javelin. It's a map that everybody knows, right? And it's a map that is just super clean. It's most everybody's like favorite map in like scrims and competitive play, simply because you don't have too much obstructing your movement, right? Like clean lines, flat surfaces, minimal like rocks and things to like slide over and mess up your movement or whatnot. We see that whenever we drop down on Burnout, you'll see like certain areas where there'll be like rubble, you know, and that type of thing whenever you're trying to keep it close to the wall or something, you know, so that you can evade or even just peek shoot or something like that. You'll see it on like West Door Burnout. There's like some rubble right there on the corner, and sometimes you're trying to stick real close to the wall and you're trying to get back outside or inside, and you'll slide over it and it'll like bump you up or some stuff like that. There's very minimal stuff like that on this map, which is real nice. Real nice. So we're waiting on, is it Autumn Leaf to come back? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay.
I'm loading in right now. Sorry.
Okay.
about
No
the
apologies. You're good. It's not your fault. So, like I said, we're going to start with spawn protection elements. What do I mean by that? That means when you spawn up, what are the elements that you're able to utilize in order to avoid somebody just like pushing straight into you, you know? And the easy answer to that is cover, but there's better cover in certain situations, in most situations than others. So just, you know, like I said, think about the places. There's always a pattern. Think about the places that I'm kind of gonna note, and you know, kind of apply that to other maps as well. It's easy for me to show you other maps as well, and I'll try to do as much of that as possible. But there is a pattern to it, and yeah. So first thing about helipad spawn on Javelin is people. My God, all inside or all outside. All inside or all outside. That's got to be like the biggest lesson. I have to say that to literally everybody. It does not matter, because even high level players, you know, somebody will split off to like, you know, connection door right there, something like that, while everybody else is inside. And that works at the highest level because people know how to play their lives, and you know, like everybody counts as like 1.5 to 2 players just because of their skill level. So you always got to be careful how you press those. But for the overwhelming majority of folks, and just the objective strategy behind this particular spawn is all in or all out. What do I mean by that? It's just like when you spawn up, the team is all in or they're all outside, right? Oftentimes you'll have somebody covering here, watching for jump up on this box right in the center of the room, right? You'll have somebody maybe here on these stairs. This is probably one of the more dangerous areas right here on these stairs. Why? Because you're accessible to this peak spot right here, right? This is a tough spot to counter. This is an even tougher spot to counter. And there's actually a way you can like jump up here as well, like right here. So like a warlock that's floating with heat rises, or just in general, like from here and taking pop shots, very difficult, very difficult. So just be careful there. You know, like this is probably the spot that I spend the least amount of time in, because as soon as somebody calls out that somebody's back rocket, I'm moving. You just don't want to be there. So if I can get like a pop shot initially from here, especially crouching, then I will. But otherwise, that's probably the more dangerous spot, like inside. This right here is a head glitch, and it is very good. Very good. So if you want to pop shot somebody, let me see. Who is this? Who is this? Starlight, if you don't mind going to Rocket where I just was. The backside of Rocket where I just was.
Right here,
Yep.
Tony?
Correct. That's absolute. Yep.
Okay.
And so I can hit you from there, and also I'm not gonna kill you. You don't have to worry about it. And also, if you drop down and you're peek shooting that box as well, like on the actual ground, this is just a really good like head glitch. It's not as if you can't hit me from there or something like that, but I can crouch, but I can still, you know, get shots off. What the fuck? What was that? I saw your head moving and everything, and it still didn't register. So the toughest thing about this spot is you have to be in like the right spot on this little hill right here. in order to get like a stable footing. But once you get up there, it's fine. But I love this spot. This is a better spot, honestly, than this is kind of like the spot to counter that right side back rocket, and so I like it a lot. So anyway, that's one area right there. You can certainly utilize this column if you're trapped. A rift here is honestly like a pretty strong position, especially if as long as you have other teammates kind of around you in the spawn. Snipers are often back here. You have to be careful approaching this spawn because oftentimes a sniper will be back here. The big sniping spots in this spawn, just because I'm not a sniper, but I know, are back here. Our box, Jesus Christ, be careful right here, by the way. If you are trying to push this spawn from outside, a sniper is often here or here. And so you have to just be really careful about how you approach it. Oftentimes when I come from this direction over here, I'm already looking, I stick relatively close to this wall right here so that I'm not visible to that sniper that's potentially there. And then I just try to like slide this, when I slide this, I also just look to see if I see a sniper light, because you see the light on the sniper. Everybody should know that by now. You see the light on the sniper, and that's going to denote that the sniper is actually zooming in right there. And then I just move over to this side right here. And then I'm just watching Divider, waiting for the rest of my team. And then, like if I see it, I call it out, and then, we may actually end up approaching that spawn, but sometimes I'll just turn around, obviously, whatever. But the point is just, be wary of that. This is a great spot as well, especially if you're trying to like knock people connector, or knock somebody that's coming around the side here on the left. Notice that you can also, in some cheekiness, shoot through this little crack in this box. This is a good crouch spot right here. If you're stuck, I mentioned yesterday the fact that, sometimes you just have to rat it out because you're getting pushed into spawn, right, by multiple people, and you just need to waste time. You need to get damage, see if you can get a trade out or something like that. Oftentimes, like, people will be tuck like right here in this box and just crouch and try to stay off the radar as much as possible. And just remember that whenever you're crouched, you just ping the radar less. It's not as if you don't come up on the radar, and a great player is generally going to still recognize where you are, but you don't ping as often. So people really have to be paying attention to the radar in order to denote or in order to realize like where you are. So just give yourself the best opportunity to get some sort of a trade, slide out, surprise them, or whatever else. But try to get a trade out, or wait for the rest of your, try to wait for the rest of your team, or try to get enough damage to the point where your team can come up behind them or whatnot. But this is a great spot to just get a couple like peek shots right there. This is probably my favorite spot in this spawn, because you got a nice head glitch on Divider right there. So just keep that in mind, and that leads me to what I mentioned a little bit earlier, right? All in or all out. I gotta drill that. Call your people. if you see your teammates and it's just like it's a split, it's not as if one person can't be a Divider looking in there while 2 or 3 people are inside. But if it's a contentious game, it's a close game or something like that, I'm gonna probably yell to my teammate that's split off and be like, yo, we're inside, because we can't do anything if we're inside, and they decide to push you at Divider. There's multiple degrees of cover between us and that, to the degree we really can't come outside to help you out, And there's only a limited amount that you can do from there if we're inside. Just think about the angles that you see from connector, Like, they're going to have to push through connector. If you come over here. Come on, all you ADHD people. If you come over here, just think about this. This is what I'm talking about as well. It's just like, just reason through some of this stuff, right? The only thing you can do from connector is just try to get pop shots right here. Like, okay, let me back up. The safest place to be, and I mentioned this, I think, to AK a while back, right? The safest place you can be, especially as a solo, is not go beyond these corners, right? You go beyond these corners, this is a commit. You got a rift, you can put it down here, sure, maybe, but you definitely go beyond this column, it's a commit. So think about that. You go beyond this right here, and it's just like, there's no strafe, there's no more strafe, there's no more cover, right? There's nowhere to cover. So it's just like if we recognize this right here as the limit of where you can push in by yourself, then that means what angles do you have? You've got this left side over here, right? But you've got no help from the rest of your team to get any shots off because they're at best they're at the diamond over there, right? And then you've got this spot right here. But look at this exact spot right here, right? So if I push up even just a little bit, right? This exact spot. This is the spot right here that the only angle you have, the only line of sight you have is to help out your team here. That's the only line of sight that you have. Because if you push up beyond this, you are exposed to multiple angles. And I was talking about that yesterday, right? Like you only want to be exposed to one line of sight towards the enemy. If you move up right here to try to help out, it's somebody pushing at diamond or to try to like move to the right here to maybe look, you're already like deep inside. Your teammates can barely help you. The only person that can maybe help you is the person peeking through diamond, but oftentimes they're not actually moving up beyond these stairs right here. Why? Because if they help out at diamond and we're still in spawn, if they help out at diamond just to help you out here and like tap up Joker because Joker's or jams right there, then they're exposed to beat on as well. So you just got to think about the angles. So when I say reason through the angles, the number one thing I'm talking about is make sure that you're not exposed. Try not to expose yourself to multiple lines of enemy sight. And that's why the all in, all out principle is kind of objectively like solid. I'm not saying that there aren't exceptions to the rule or anything like that. There's always exceptions, but it's a good solid like means for understanding like where you should be. So that's why like you can surely take pop shots from here. You can surely set up a rift behind this like column. Try not to go beyond the column because that's a commit. What do I mean by that as well? There's certain positions where if you push beyond that cover, it's a commit. What's an easy example of that just on any map? It's sliding out well beyond cover, right? Let me see. Who's there? Let me see. Who's that right there? Starlight. Come stand. Yeah, right there. Exactly where you are. Right? I was talking about it yesterday. I slide right here. I slide exactly out. I'm right here at cover. That means I can stand up and I can peek shoot. I'm right on the edge, right? That's not a commit, right? But if I slide out here, that's a commit. I can't just like easily strafe back in. I literally have to turn around and try to slide back in. That's way too much time, especially against better players. They're just going to tap you up before you can get back in there. So that's my point. Like if you slide out beyond cover, then you're in danger because it's like, especially if it's a team shot, it's a commitment. Now that said, like sometimes it's certainly appropriate to just commit to a fight, but you have to think about that when it comes to passing through cover beyond an edge, beyond a wall. That's the way that you got to start thinking about it. I pass beyond this barrier right here, then I'm in danger. I have to think about this, but this is a commitment I'm making right here. And this is a commitment because I only see a 1v1, right? That's an easy like answer to when do I commit? I only see a 1v1. And on top of that, maybe they're weak. And on top of that, maybe they don't necessarily know that I'm there. Or maybe I'm just challenging myself with that 1v1. But that's a commitment. And you just have to take that into account. So anyway, going back to the all in, all out principle, outside, it's the same sort of thing, right? If we're all spawning like helipad, and there's one person inside, like on stairs or something like that, then you're liable to get pushed by multiple enemies inside on stairs, and we have no real access to that outside. So that's kind of like the point is you don't have the full strength of your team unless everybody's inside or outside. And if you're outside, this is the other thing. If you're outside, you need to be beyond this wall right here. You need to be to the left side of this wall. Why? Somebody tell me why. Think about the angles.
Oh, what
You're
side did you
exposed.
say? What side?
Yep, the left side of this. You're exposed to what? If you're on the right side of this wall right here, you're exposed to what? If the entire team is on the right side of this wall, and in this spawn and
You're
trying to
exposed
contest,
here.
where's the important exposure that you're exposed to?
Here.
Where's here?
Is that where I'm standing currently? I think,
Nope.
or-
Nope. Where's AK
Where's it
at?
over here
AK
then?
knows. That's correct. If you're standing on this side, You're exposed to left side, somebody peek shooting because they made it out. You're exposed to where Goss is through connector. You're exposed to, most importantly, you're exposed to like plenty of cover elements here. You're exposed to Cab peek shooting from here. You know what I'm saying? You're exposed to Com, who wrapped around the entire backside right here. You're just exposed to too many angles that they have cover and they could just peek shoot you. And you don't have much cover out here at all. All you pretty much have is like this box right here, right? So that's why you go left side this divider right here. Left side this divider, that means your radar can ping anybody that's trying to like pick up on this left side here coming out of the opposite spawn. That means that you can hit anybody that's coming out of connector. That means you can ping anybody that's trying to flank you from right side from spawn. That means you can peek shoot, you know, from this side as well. You guys can, you got options, but that also gives you an exit point. You know, we were talking about yesterday the fact that you want to make sure that you have an exit point just in case things come, you know, like go south or whatnot. That exit point is just to go right through and push back, you know, and rotate through. And if they decide they want to push outside, right, that's even better because that means they give you inside. This is another thing. And this is kind of just like a general thing for any map that can be applied, right? It's the fact that, like, don't elect to be outside. Burnout's the same sort of thing. Don't elect to be outside. The strong positions are generally going to be around center of map. And certainly in Javelin, like center of map. This is where the heavy is, right? This is where, like, the most cover is as well. If you're outside, you're much more liable because there's limited cover out there. There's a bunch of different reasons why you want to try to occupy and control center of map. Not the least of which the fact that, you know, center of map allows you to access spawns and push people around if they split and split spawn, which is an important part of competitive play as well. So let me see. So the three things that we mentioned, right, were all inside on this map in particular. When you're at helipad spawn, all inside or all outside. If you're outside, you need to be left side of this divider here to minimize your exposure, specifically to people flanking through helipad spawn. Let's see what else here. Trying to just organize my thoughts because let me see. Note the call-outs. Note the call-outs, right? The call-outs are in the call-outs channel in the Discord. So note the call-outs because those are important. This is rock wall right here. I say that because I was about to mention that. I'm trying to think about... I want to continue with rotations. I don't want to just hit spots so much yet. As I pass by spots, I'll mention it. There was a player back in year one. I'm not sure if he still plays. This is called Potato Spot because Potato was one of the best snipers in the game for several years. And this was his spot right here. Yo, what up, Odd? What's going on? 6 on 6 tier 1. I appreciate you. So just know that this is a spot that is not on anybody's, like, you know, called out map or whatever, but you'll often hear everybody say, yo, Potato Spot. This is literally Potato Spot right here because he'd always be with the sniper and he'd be looking down this lane right here, looking to pick somebody off as they pushed. So just keep that in mind. I'll mention a spot. This is a great spot right here, right through this box. Yeah, he was always in the back somewhere, and they were great spots. But when we talk about this spawn right here, right, this is blue spawn, right? This is blue spawn. Why? Because obviously it's fucking blue. You only have, this has much better spawn protection elements in the sense of you got all this cover and you've got just like a doorway here, a doorway there, and then you've got glass over there. Why is it called glass? Obviously because it's glass, right? I don't know if anybody saw like one of the early renderings of this map, but it was pretty cool because there was actually a drop down below rocket. So there were actually 3 levels. There were actually 2 levels to this map, and it was actually like really cool. But nonetheless, this area is called glass, of course. This is a great spot just because I'm next to it. If somebody's pushing through glass, you can literally line up your shot for the peak shot, like by looking through this glass right here, right? So you can literally it's see-through, right? You can just line up your shot for the peak shot, and I love that right there. let me see. Okay, I'm just trying to organize my thoughts here. So coming out of this spawn right here, you obviously want to be careful on this right side in particular, because you're susceptible to somebody off radar long with either a long range weapon or a sniper. So just be careful. If you come out this door,
My bad, I misclicked. I accidentally threw a trip mine. Sorry.
yep, it's all good. So if you come out this door, you just want to be like cognizant of this right here, right in front of me. I need to shoot, right? And then if I come out this door and I'm trying to access this right side right here, I will peek shoot from here. But this is one of those things where if I was talking about the spider sense yesterday, this whole concept of you gotta recognize when you may be in danger and rotate off of that or whatnot. I will peek shoot from this like this for a little bit, you know, but I am definitely like wary of somebody like flanking. So I'm not going to be here for too long if it's kind of just like a stalemate, right? So that's something to kind of like keep in mind. Otherwise, if you want to be here for longer, then you just want to make sure that you have this barrier right here in between you and whoever might be trying to sneak around through these boxes. So you'd be like right here, right? And this is decent cover until, you know, somebody peeks from this long lane right here. But this is decent cover to this right here if the entire team is trying to, excuse me, push you from rock wall side. Just to note, because I'm here, this is a good tuck spot. This is a good tuck spot. Recognize if you're here, then people can't access you here. I've been killed a decent amount just because I didn't necessarily know where this person was. And I was over here. You know, so I'm just like, man, did they actually like push up from here or not? They were weak. They pushed up from here and I don't see them on the radar. Well, it's because they're tuck and crouched like right here. And just note that that could be a thing because you don't have line of sight to that. You think you might have line of sight? Because I always think that, man, I could just see their feet. I can see their toes or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I can't. So I literally can't see you, Starlight. If you're tuck in there right there, like from here, right here, I can't see you. From even right here, you can't see it. Gosh, I can't see. I have to move all the way over to where, like this right here. Yeah, even from here, holy shit. Even from here, I can't see you at all. So yeah, just keep that in mind. That's kind of just like a disappearing act right there. This is something that I went over just because I'm here as well. I said I wasn't going to go over spots, but hopefully nobody's like losing track of things. This is something that I went over in the video, the Hunter video that I did with Patty Cakes a long time ago. I threw it in the chat yesterday. Is if they're pushing you, and this is just a general concept as well. If they're pushing you because you're weak and they're trying to push this box or whatnot, reduce their line of sight by always sticking close to walls, right? Don't take things wide. And then at this box right here, especially if I'm on Hunter, I will literally just like jump up right here and try to shotgun them as they come around the corner and stick as close to the wall as possible. Why is that? You know, it's tougher for them to acquire their target if I'm sticking. I have to rotate all the way to the left, like all the way to the left to try to get a shot off, you know? So it's just like stick close to walls whenever you're trying to actually like access somebody that's around the corner. If you do that, then they're only going to see you at the very last minute simply because of the fact that they have to rotate all the way around to see you. So anyway, it's good to note, but let's get back to this spawn right here, this blue spawn. So as soon as you spawn up at the beginning of the game, I'm always wary of anybody on my team, myself included, coming like right here. At the beginning of the game, your brain has to be on nades. Everybody on the opposite team, everybody on your team, of course, but everybody on the opposite team has a grenade. You know, has a grenade, has a melee, of course. So you've got to watch them fly. You got to watch them fly. So like this is a really tough spot to be in right here to start the game, simply because I mean it's not a tough spot, but you just got to, you know, have the expectation that a nade is literally going to come over this box and make everybody weak and push us back into spawn to the point where they can kind of like push through, right? Camera froze, man. I don't know what's up with this stupid camera, man. It's been doing that way too often. I'm just going to switch scenes for right now, and then I'll come back around to it. Thank you for the heads up, MF. So that's why generally whenever we spawn up, I usually just go to glass and try to occupy like center of the map just in general. Oftentimes there will be our sniper will actually like stay behind and try to like snipe and get somebody that tries to jump this box, because I'm one of those dumbasses that actually will try to like at least peek over this box. to see like what's going on, or maybe to like get a pop shot or something like that. So just be wary that there could be a sniper right there. This is always the first spot, honestly, that I look for a sniper whenever I'm approaching this spawn. Be wary if somebody crouched like right here. So just keep that in mind. But this is kind of just like a tough spot to be in, especially if you don't have a rift, and especially if the rest of your team is on the left. It's not a bad spot to be in. This is a decent split, but just be wary that you may have to like zoom through here. Why do I say that as well? Is because on Titan or on Warlock, and let me switch just so I have it. On Titan and on Warlock, as soon as I spawn up, you guys see it. You guys have seen the stream. I literally come here and I either put a rift if I'm on Warlock and I have a rift, or I put a barricade up, right? I do that because, hey, I want to make sure that if somebody is actually over here on my team, that if they need to, they can just slide right through. We can also peek shoot from it. Also on top of that, it cuts off, more importantly, it cuts off the enemy team from just pushing through this right side and funnels them on this left side, gives us more time to then peek shoot from this corner right here or from beat-on box or whatever else. So we're almost done with this map. So let me see. When you spawn up as well on this map, what's up?
I wanted to show you something real quick. If you go stand over here with a sniper, I was taught something in labs. Let's just say somebody's holding this with a sniper over here. If you do this, you can. This is only on Hunter. You can jump up and then jump away with strafe jump, and just use the directional movement.
True. You're just talking about in general to get like to evade a sniper. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's usually what I do, because sometimes if you get lucky, the sniper will just ego and they'll take the bullet, and yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And that goes for like any sort of like, you know, like any sort of bait. A great addition to that as well is shadow dive. You know, if you're on a hunter, strafe jump or otherwise, you know, it's the same sort of thing. You can get a pop shot and then you can immediately recognize that there's danger or that you're going to like bait like a shot out, and you can just immediately shadow dive. So similar principle for sure. And there's all types of little baits that you can do on hunter. I talked about that actually a little bit. I need to repost that video from Patty Cakes, but I actually talk about quite a bit of that, and specifically that note that you just made. I made that in that video too. So that's a good point for sure. So the last thing that I'll say about here, there's two things. First, I was talking to Cowboy and a couple people a little while back, because Cowboy made the right play, because Cowboy's been here for a bit. Remember commitment, right? The way that you have to think about commitment. You push through here and there at B, this is a commitment, because you went beyond this barrier right here and you're now exposed to two directions, right? I guess the way that we can think about like committing based on positioning, you know, which again could be a good thing or a bad thing. You just have to be careful and wary that and recognize that you are committing if you move past this direction. Is step one, you're going beyond cover. Step two is that you're exposed to multiple directions, right? That's commitment. And so you just have to be sure that you want to commit to that particular line of sight. So anyway, this is a good spot to be at glass. If like once I end up shutting this down with a Titan barricade, that's the reason why we can move here, because it's not as much of a commitment. It's still like nobody's going to come through that right side. So I know for sure that we're safe until that barricade goes down and we can get pop shots through through this middle area right here. That also allows us to more easily just commit to center of map and take this great space that is center of map here by B. The last thing I'll say, because the time looks like it's about to go up, is whenever you approach this left side right through here, you always want to bait out nades. You don't want to just immediately go and be here at B-Dom before the nades end up coming out. A lightning grenade's going to hit the wall, the trip mine's going to hit the wall, a pulse, or whatever else. So you just want to be careful. Don't just run up to B and immediately take B, because those nades are coming out, which is why oftentimes I just hit this corner wall right here. The last thing I'll say about this position as well, about center of map, is the power position that we were talking about with Holy Rice. Oftentimes, a really good position to be in is there's a Warlock here on this box, they're floating or they're peek shooting from here, and then somebody's here at this box peek shooting, or like actually on B, but we're holding 2 areas, and it's really effective as like a 2-man type of like hold. So you don't necessarily even need your entire team, because one person is watching more so the interior as anybody approaches from like either diamond side, and one person has rocket, to the point where it's really tough for an enemy team to approach inside rocket or from like the inside at glass, or through the diamonds or whatnot, because somebody's watching each of those, and you have a good amount of cover in order to peek shoot or whatever else. It's really tough to get a 2-man out of that particular like configuration, as long as they're making sure that they play their lives correctly and they're getting peek shoots, peek shots and things along that line, especially if they end up having a rift or a barricade or something to kind of continue to get regen, or to just get a foothold in that area. So just be wary of that. That 2-man is actually kind of tough to break sometimes, especially if they're good shooters. I'm trying to think. So I think it's a good idea to just recap. So on that map, and these are principles you should think about on like any map, but on that map, I think the first thing again is, or just in general, think about commitment. Think about commitment. When we're talking about positioning, think about commitment. Where am I on this map? And have I pushed beyond cover? And am I exposed to multiple lines of sight? It doesn't matter whether an enemy's there or not. Am I exposed to multiple? You could literally be on the map by yourself, just running around, and you like, am I exposed to multiple lines of sight? And if you are, that's a commit. That's a commitment right there. You need to be careful about how you end up committing. You want to make sure, again, that you're not going to get tapped up by 2 people through 2 lines of sight. You want to you want to go through with a plan. You want to commit with a plan. Before you actually commit, you can still be reading the radar. You can still be getting pop shots. You're generally a little bit more safe, right? So just keep that in mind. Whenever you're going beyond cover, and also on top of that, you're exposed to 2 different lines of sight, potentially 2 different enemy lines of sight. Let me see. On that map again, on helipad spawn, all in, all out. If you're outside, have to be left side of divider. Entire team left side of divider. Not just half the team, the entire team left side of divider. If you are one of those people that is still at that box on helipad spawn outside, there's limited help for you. There's limited help for you. All in, all out. If you're outside, left side divider. Inside, you got options. People can be in a variety of different configurations. The biggest thing about being inside is just to make sure that somebody's not trying to flank you from the left side from outside. But it's a much more difficult flank, trying to flank from outside to in, as opposed to vice versa, simply because of the fact that you got more cover inside than outside. And also the fact that if somebody pushes from outside, they have to come a decent distance. They know they're on the radar by that time, and that gives us an opportunity on the inside to just push the mismatch. Because now if we're playing 4v4, now it's us all inside 4v3, and we can take center of map. And that person outside is then going to have to make a decision. Oh, am I going to go back the way I came and go back into divider, or am I actually going to try to loop around and pinch? And that's a tough decision, depending on how fast we're moving to push on the enemy team from inside. So let me see. Make sure that you know, or reference the call outs here and there for those maps. There's a call outs channel in the Discord, like I said, so that, you'll be a little bit more familiar whenever people try to reference. Everybody's got like some weird call outs here and there, but nonetheless, context should give you, as much as possible if you know the general call outs for the maps. If you're spawning up at blue spawn, like I said, generally you want to go glass and try to get center of map control through BDOM. Just be wary of the commit beyond glass, right, where you're exposed to diamond and BDOM. Be wary of nades when they first come out. Always expect grenades at the beginning of the game. Always expect them. So take the appropriate positioning in order to avoid nades as much as possible, or at the very least, give yourself an exit point for that. even if off mic, just want to make sure. I sometimes don't want to be on the mic. It will definitely take me a bit to learn the map callouts. Yeah, even if off mic. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because somebody's going to make a call out, and then you'll be able to reference it in your mind because you know the call outs, right? So number one, I recognize that not everybody's going to be on the mic all the time, but I always encourage people to be in call and just be muted so that you can hear the call outs and so that you can be there for your teammates whenever they make a reference to a call out that's relevant to you, right? The second thing I'll say is I totally understand a lot of times that women are not trying to be on the mic, right? For what should be obvious reasons. So do what's best for you. Take care of yourself. Be safe. I try to make this space as safe as possible in that regard and others. But I totally understand that. Let me see. What other things? So if we're spawning up at blue, but just in general, recognizing what's going on at blue, watch out for the snipers. Potato spot, watch out for the snipers at crouched at blue door as well, whenever you try to approach that spawn. Let me see. I didn't really mention any tuck spots if you're at blue spawn, if you end up getting spawn trapped there. I'm trying to think just off the top of my head. I don't know. I just feel like you don't get spawn trapped at blue spawn quite as much if you just immediately make a decision as soon as you drop down, right? Because oftentimes the entire enemy team is not going to be at blue trying to it takes much more time to clear helipad spawn than blue spawn. So the majority of the time it's like one or two stragglers, that are going to try to take you at blue or whatnot, which gives you exit points. I guess the tuck, if you really need to, is actually glass, simply because of the fact that if they have to approach you, that they have to come through diamond most times, right? They come through diamond, then that's like a line. That's a line. That means they're susceptible to fusions. That means they're susceptible to trade outs through shotguns, through melees and stuff like that, because it's close quarters. So, and oftentimes people my teammates, if they're stuck over there, they will just immediately drop down and rotate through B-Dom, because there's a decent amount of cover, right, from diamond to diamond. The only real exposed spot at that point is through the middle, right, through the middle of B-Dom. Oftentimes as well, this is a good call out, is you let your teammate know, number one, that they're split, and also where they can go. That's one of my call outs. You'll often hear me, yo, go beat on, just rotate through immediately, because I'm just trying to help them out to make sure, oh, go rock wall, we'll meet you there. So, those are the two, options pretty much. It's based off of how do you know which direction to choose if nobody makes that call out, right? Radar, right? You're seeing where the red is, you're seeing where your teammates are. If there's no red on the map, then wherever your teammates are, that means that the enemy team is engaging your team to try to clean out the rest of that spawn over there, right? They're not choosing your spawn, they're choosing to split spawn on your teammates, right? And so just process of elimination would tell you, okay, all right, well, if my team is inside, then most likely the enemy team is also inside. So I'm actually going to choose to rotate outside, right? And then I'll get more information as I rotate outside and figure out what's going on, and hopefully be able to catch up with the rest of my team or whatnot. But hopefully, somebody on your team will also give you a little bit more information on whether you're rotating inside or outside. I feel like that's just such a great call out by a good teammate to do so. Let's see here. I don't know who is somebody know who Donuts is?
Nope.
I do not.
Okay. All right.
That's somebody that I know, my bad.
Yep. Let's see here. I think this is a good time for questions, because then that will allow me to kind of elaborate on anything that maybe I wasn't as clear with. So I apologize. I don't have much sleep, but I'll be here. So does anybody have any questions specifically with regards to Javelin or any of the concepts that I kind of went over right there? And this is the same thing for chat as well. What's up? I'm listening.
I'm not sure if you're the best to ask, because I don't know if you use SMGs, but how would you go around playing cover like that with a
like on SMG. Because you want to commit more with an SMG, but
True. No, absolutely. That's a great point too. Yeah, you got no choice, right? Because there's limited range, and it's just like, okay, well, I can't peek shoot with an SMG. That's a great point with regards to using SMGs. Let me think. If you use an SMG in the chat, if you've got some thoughts on that, I mean, I'll give kind of just a general, I guess, because I don't really use SMGs. I feel like with SMGs, when I get killed by them, it's because it just takes a little bit better like position and timing in particular, right? Because you got to know when to like push through, right? You have to catch people off guard a lot more. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, honestly. That's a good question to ask Ben if you see him. There's a good question to ask Elijah, because he's a Titan that every once in a while uses SMGs. Glacia is a fantastic, like that. Like if you see her in the Discord, or if you want to add her, I'm sure that she'd be willing to give some thoughts on that. But yeah, Walt says timing and backslide for SMG. Frito says, I've been using them all season. Biggest thing you need to watch for is who is running a slug fusion. Yeah, because it's a range thing. Yeah, true enough. Yeah, but I think, let me see. Walt says baiting corners with SMG as well. Yeah. Let's see. Breaker just popped while the wife was using the blow dryer, but I got to get going. Got a lunch for Father's Day. Okay, enjoy, Jam. Check the VOD, and any questions or anything like that, just let me know, man. And hopefully we'll be able to get in some games next weekend. Appreciate you, brother. But yeah, I'm listening.
How are you judging the distance for like weapons? Because it depends on the weapon, but how are you adapting it to the specific map? Because some of them it's kind of hard to tell for myself.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think that one comes down to like a lot of reps. Like if it like, say for example, like I'm a hand cannon guy, right? Like it's both the hand cannon that I use, and that's why like I use very specific ones. I don't use a lot of variety in my hand cannons for the most part, unless it's like quick play and I'm just kind of messing around on stream. But for the overwhelming majority, you'll see me select the same hand cannons because I have a feel for the range and where they're going to, end up getting like full hit detection, full strength, so that it'll hopefully consistently be like a 3-tap. I'll get optimal TTK, right? So it's utilizing, the same weapon or like the same set of weapons so that you get a feel for where that distance is. And then it really is reps on the maps as well. Just kind of recognizing like
dummy too.
You said what? I'm sorry.
We could get a target dummy for you. Like we could Darcy range it for you. No, I'm not kidding. Like I'll
no,
do
it's
it
true.
with you.
Yeah, of course.
Like we can load a map and Darcy range it, and you can actually see the difference between 20, 30, and 50 meters.
That's true. If you learn like that, that's true. Like the way that I learn personally is just through experience, and like it's very like a lot of weapons are really punishing, especially like 140 hand cannons. Or it's one of the weapons. I wouldn't say necessarily, especially SMGs are another one. When you're out of range, you're out of range, and like you got to get a 3-tap at full strength with a 140 hand cannon. SMG, similar sort of thing. Like you don't really have that much forgiveness, right, with an SMG, which means, and that's going back to what Eon said, because Eon was talking about when do I commit with an SMG, because you have to commit most times with an SMG, right? Because the range is just that short and the damage fall off is just that aggressive, that damage fall off. So it really is just reps, in my opinion. A lot of it. Yes, you can definitely go down with Darcy, which Darcy is a heavy sniper, if folks don't know. And if you look through the site, you'll actually see the meters, right? It'll actually like show you the distance to a target. So if you learn like that, then that's not a bad way to do it, like as well. And then you can reference D2 Foundry to actually see, where the damage fall off is, because they'll tell you the actual meters, right? So that's the other half of that puzzle. But yeah, beyond that, it really is just a lot of like experience. A new map ends up dropping, right? Then I'm just taking shots from different places and recognizing where I can shoot from cover to cover. because I'm assuming, right, that my target is generally going to be coming out of cover or going to be peeking from cover. And so at that point there's just certain places that I do not try to post up on a map, right? On what is it called, Eventide Labs, right? There's just certain places that I do not post up with my hand cannon because I know it's too far. A good example is the circle outside. Let me see because I pretty much got the same settings. Yeah. We'll drop down and I'll show you. A good teacher for ranging it, one of the Trials of the Nines weapons with the crossover origin trait. You're going to have to elaborate on that. And while we're dropping down, I'll also try to get this camera back. Hold up. Yeah, these are a couple good tips here. See if I can get this back. All right, good. Sorry about that, everybody. Thanks, MF, for letting me know. Yoey says, in regards to effective weapon ranges, if you are out of range, learning to use cover on the map to move into effective range is a huge part of the skill kit. Yeah, and so I'll elaborate on that because I talk about it a decent amount. The fact that you're moving from cover to cover, that's where you have to. That's how you have to think about how you navigate the map. If you just want a very simple, how do I navigate the map? How do I move around the map? Cover to cover, move to cover, stop. See if you can get some sort of engagement there. See if there is an engagement there. See if it's an engagement where you're not getting hit from multiple directions as well. And then if you don't see anybody on the radar, then you move up to the next. You move up to the next piece of cover. So the example that I'll give is down here outside at BDOM on Eventide. And then let's see. Yeah, nice. And so if somebody just wants to be right here, because oftentimes it's either me or somebody else or the enemy that's going to be right here at this tanker, right? Peek shooting. This is a relatively new map. And so I realized that being back here, utilizing this cover from here, I'm not going to really get like full. So I'm either here or I'm here. And most times, honestly, like I take the outside right here and I just try to head glitch because I can literally head glitch like through this little like railing here. So if I can get like somebody to stand on the enemy team, like right here, stand right here where I'm at. Thank you. It's a great head glitch here. Because I'm literally shooting through this little skinny rail right here. And this gives me majority of cover. And this is the way that you want to think about head glitches in particular, you know, because I don't really see anybody using this head glitch right here. But that's not to say that literally anybody couldn't like just see this and be like, oh, I think I can shoot through this, you know, and you can, right? So, but going back to the original point, this is a relatively new map, and just by getting reps in, you know, and utilizing the same archetype weapon and also kind of the same, like oftentimes the same weapon, that's how you feel out oftentimes, like where you can be and what type of cover you can take in order to access the common points that you're going to be shooting at. And so from here with my hand cannon, I can access somebody that's at this tanker here that's usually here. So you're recognizing player patterns and where people are going to be. But there are also just objectively good spots on the map with regards to peek shooting and cover. So oftentimes somebody's going to be here or somebody's going to be where Starlight was. And so that's why this ring right here on the outside is a solid spot to be with the hand cannon. right? Because and specifically with the hand cannon, simply because I've tested my ranges with it. Now that doesn't mean like all hand cannons, right? Because some hand cannons have more range than others, and so that's why I say you're gonna have to like test it and try to like optimize your weapons to ensure that you have the appropriate optimal like ranges for the positions that you want to take. Let me see. Trying to think if there's something on this map else that I want to kind of cover. Not really, not necessarily on this map. Where's the commit point in the ring? That's a really good question. Keep asking that question actually, because like the more I tell you guys the certain points for the commit, then I feel like it will click more. It will click more, like where that commit is based in a spot that we didn't talk about, because you'll just run up to it and you'll be like, oh, this is where the commit point is for this area. So the commit point for this area really is like moving like beyond the edge. This one's a pretty easy one, beyond the edge, because what happens beyond this edge right here? You're exposed to down this lane right here, and you're exposed to here, right? You got to be careful as well with this particular side, because right here, this is why I like being able to shoot through this like skinny little like rail, is because I can slide back, shoot between this rail, and I'm not really exposed. I can crouch right here, and I can basically cut off access from that spot that I was shooting. And the only direction that I'm shooting at would be somebody that decides to challenge me from wide right here. Right? That's the only direction at that point. So the commit point, pretty straightforward on this one, is pretty much beyond the rail on either side. But just be wary specifically on this side, on this right side here, because you could be getting shot at some point from here and somebody that decides they want to slide around here. And that's kind of like the downside of trying to fight a fight from this particular like direction into that spawn right there. So I'll ask I'll start like asking a few more like questions so that you guys can like get. So let me see, I'll show a spot in a second as well. All right, say for example they are spawning in this spawn over here. All right, this spawn right here. And the people can come over because I'm about to ask a question. Say, for example, they're spawning in this spawn right here, maybe even like capping a flag or otherwise. And I'm on, this is the spawn I'm talking about, and I'm on this side, right? I'm on this side. First of all, what's the ideal direction to take to challenge that spawn? Would it be this left side here, or would it be through the center? You could just say it. You could just say it.
From this side.
From the left side?
Yeah, left side feels like I'm gonna have better lines of sight approaching that.
And?
Than going through the middle and dealing with the barricades and obstacles. It gives them more tight corners to shotgun from.
True. And?
Have distance.
It's got a better escape route.
Yep, I like that. I like that. And I'm waiting for one.
It's 2 levels. It's 2 levels, so you can have people on multiple levels.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Exactly. You go through mid right here, then you got this spawn on the left right here, and you got anybody that wants to come from above you on a power position, because Anakin was wrong yet again. Like, the high ground is definitely the superior ground, right? So you definitely want to challenge from here. Okay, so where's the commit spot? If you're trying to challenge that spawn, like and specifically if you're trying to challenge that spawn from the top here, where's the commit spot where it's just like I move beyond here and it's just like I gotta go in?
This doorway right here.
Nope. It's this doorway here. If you're still inside right here, that means that they gotta press you. You're still kind of safe in here, kind of safe. The only thing you really got to worry about is like paying attention to radar a little bit to see if anybody's going to press you from center or come through this door right here. But that's an easy radar ping. You move beyond this door right here, though, and you're definitely moving into that spawn. But you still got protection elements in here, and you still have the nuclear deterrent of it being close quarters, and you have a close quarters weapon oftentimes, because generally people are trying to cover two ranges, right? People are trying to cover with the sidearm. It's the same sort of thing. Sidearm, a fusion, a shotgun, everything's close quarters. You should generally have something in your kit to cover close quarters. And we all know how RNG close quarters can be in this game, right? So the commit is this doorway right here, because you still have, you know, some cover in here. Let's see. Let me ask another one. If we start out at this spawn over here, come over here. Oh, okay. I see your point. Gotcha, Waltz. All right. So if we're coming out of this spawn right here, and we all know like the majority of first exchanges are going to happen right here, right? We come out of the spawn and they spawn up, we spawn up, and the first exchange happens from where I was standing to right here, right? We've seen that. So if we start out at this spawn right here, where's the commit point if we start out at this spawn here? Like, where is the point where if you move past that piece of cover, that you're committing to a fight?
Probably right here.
Let me see.
Because if you get past here,
Where is it? You think it's right here, you said?
probably here, maybe even further back.
No, it can't be that, because like, what's the likelihood that somebody's pushing all the way, especially as we come out of spawn, like that somebody's pushing all the way around to the left, or all the way around to the, kind of to the right, but I mean, you don't want to necessarily be standing here, that's for sure, because you're exposed to 3 different directions. So I mean, you're either gonna be like here, you know what I'm saying? Because somebody's coming through this center area right here. Generally, you just want to keep this box right here between you if you're trying to access the right or left doors, or the right or middle doors. The real commit spot is basically through any of those doors. Well, I mean, in the middle, it's here. Why is it? Because this is a long lane right here. You commit, like, anytime you, like, a true commit is through a lane. My God, that should be the most obvious one, because it's just like this cover right here, and there's no cover. And like, if you want to try to get an escape, you have to go all the way back, or you have to dip out of this window where somebody could be, you know, or you have to just push forward. So like, real commit spots are like long lanes, because man, like, you have to go forward or back, and it takes time. And on top of that, you're in a straight line, right? So it's just like, if you're trying to get away, somebody could still be just like straight up pinging you in the back of the neck. So like, easily pinging you. So the real commit spot is like right here, but the real commit spot, same thing for here in this middle tunnel, is right through the tunnel itself, right? And the commit spot over here in this doorway, unless somebody's like literally looking at you from here, the real commit spot is like right here, exactly where, you know, who's this pit? Yeah, AK is saying. You know what I'm saying? This is the real commit spot right here. This is where you actually push through. And so I'll say this as well about commit spots. They're called commit spots because if you go beyond it, you should commit. You should make the decision, you know, hopefully beforehand, that this is the right decision, this is the appropriate decision, and then you should commit to it. What were we talking about yesterday? The fact that being decisive is more important than being right. You could figure out with you yourself or your team later whether that was the right call or not to push through that cover, you know? But like, that's later. That's like after the game. You win so many fights. I win so many fights. I mean, just think about like a Titan that just rushes the shit out of you. They're just W keying it. Well, a lot of times they win that fight just because they decided they weren't going to go back. They decided, hey, I'm not going to strafe left, strafe right. I wasn't going to go to this person on the right. I wasn't going to go to this person on the right, left. I'm going directly after this person that I keyed in on straight in front of me. And they end up getting that kill oftentimes, not because it was the best decision, because there's like 3 people around here. So that was kind of dumb for them to push directly close quarters into one person when there are 2 other enemies left and right. But they end up at least getting that kill oftentimes simply because of the fact that they just committed to it, you know? And then you can maybe sometimes just like clutch up, you know? They might take out all 3, but they committed to it, as opposed to being indecisive in a clutch moment, indecisive in the split action moment. Right? So that's the way that you got to think about commitment. It's not bad to push through like a commitment point, but it's a commitment point because if I push beyond that, that means hopefully I have some sort of a plan of what I'm getting into beyond that door, but I'm moving through that door. I don't care what happens. I'm moving through that door. I don't care if my team is like behind me somewhere, you know, I'm calling it out and I'm moving through that door. Let's go. So be decisive. Let me see. Let's get off this map because this map doesn't have like the greatest readability. And we don't play it very often either, so. So learning things a different way, damage numbers for ranging, etc. Yeah, yep. Yeah, Ryan Phoenix Gaming in the building with 36 months, 3 years. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for holding me down, homie. All right, let's get to a different map. I'll try to, let's keep it succinct here, keep it quick. And like I said, if you want me to elaborate on something, please let me know. Does anybody have any questions as we're going down? And did you guys understand that? Like the concept of committing, the importance of being decisive, figuring out whether that was the right play after the game sometimes is more important, is definitely more important than trying to like, you know, second guess yourself in the middle of the game. Yo, big love, Goss. Yeah, I figured we're gonna have some fathers that are here and there. So yeah, man, happy Father's Day. I appreciate you, man. Trying to think of what else.
What's it?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Did you ever bother watching the redo of it, or? Yeah.
Did I ever bother watching the what? I'm sorry.
I thought I was on mute. I was talking to my dad. My bad.
Oh, okay. Let me see. What time is it for? Okay. Let me check. Check this. So, I haven't forgotten. We'll do rotations last. I definitely have not forgotten about that because that's like huge. But I do want to kind of give some fundamentals with regards to just like how you should think about. Well, I put a weapon on a snapshot. How you can think about just your individual positioning and movement. So individual, you know, positioning, again, move ideally cover to cover. Be decisive about moving cover to cover as well. Once you move beyond cover, that's a commitment. You should know ideally where you're going, you know, and what the objective is to moving to that particular location. When you move to a piece of cover, you should generally get a, you know, have a feel for where, one sec. You should generally have a feel for where you have a range or where you can access with your weapon optimally. What do I mean by optimally? Again, it's optimal TTK with no damage fall off, to the fact that I can 3-tap with a 140 hand cannon instead of having to 4-tap, etc., etc. Those are that's what dictates my positioning is you know, like from cover to cover is, do you know, will my hand cannon reach with optimal TTK to the location that I think the enemy is likely going to be at. So we're on Dead Cliffs now. I mentioned it yesterday, the fact that Dead Cliffs is probably the map that where grenades end up being kind of the most important. You got to think about your grenades because there's a lot of stalemates on this map considering it's only like 2 lanes basically. And so teams just kind of like post up and you know, you need to be able to break that. And grenades are your #1 option in order to do so. So let me see. If everybody wants to come over to this spawn, which is Mills Spawn. All right. So Mills Spawn. You end up spawning up here. And honestly, you got like a lot of options like in this spawn. It's tough still if you get pushed. This is definitely the type of spawn where it's just like you kind of want to like you can definitely, there's a lot of spawn protection elements. There's a lot of places that you can take fights, but you don't want to be like, if you're getting pushed here, you don't necessarily want to be like standing still. There's certain places, you know, like certain maps, certain, you know, spawns where you know, like you can kind of like tuck. This is not necessarily a spawn that you want to like tuck and just like crouch somewhere or whatnot. This is a spawn where you kind of want to like keep it moving because you have a lot of different places that you can break line of sight and like isolate 1v1s. So what do I mean by that again? It's just, I was talking about yesterday, even if you're getting accessed, if you're getting pushed by multiple enemies, there's still ways to break line of sight. You got to think about cover in a way that you're still trying to break line of sight in those situations to just access 1v1s. You want to either, if you're in a primary situation in particular, then you want to like slice the pie. I talked about it before, right? And so slicing the pie, let me see if I can figure out a place here. Slicing the pie would be like here, you know, like if you're starting right here, you're accessible to, let me see who's next to me. Who's this? So Big Unk, are you in the chat? In the VC? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Big Unk, if I'm standing right here, what angles am I accessible to by the enemy if they try to approach?
Where you?
Yep.
So you're right here. I mean,
Yep.
you
Yep.
kind of have this entire area.
Correct. What other angles what other lines of sight if an enemy decides they want to flank, or otherwise, what other lines of sight are you accessible to?
If they push from that door over here, over
Correct.
the back,
Correct.
they could probably push you from pits.
Correct.
Because they have the elevation. And
Correct.
They can push you to your right.
Man, perfect. Beautiful. So this isn't a bad spot as long as you're pinging that top left. This isn't a bad spot because like most people are not going to try to access you at that corner from here. They're going to go around backside and try to access you from right here where AK is, right? If they're trying to actually come around you from that direction, because they're coming from B-Dom, right? Usually they're coming from either B-Dom or they're coming from A-Dom. Usually you're not going to have like one enemy on the right side of you, in the middle, and on the left. Usually it's going to be through the middle and on the left or the right. So that's what you got to pay attention to. So as soon as I see somebody leaning up from that top left side, then I'm immediately moving. Where am I moving to? So let me see. Do I want to ask that as a question? Yes, I do. So where am I moving to in this spawn? If I'm just here, I'm trapped, or I'm trying to lock down this spawn, like where am I moving to if I'm coming from this corner, if I'm still like committed to fighting in this spawn? Where's the next like good spot? If somebody is coming through center and somebody's coming through left, where's the next good spot?
I would take the fight to the left. It's your best one.
Interesting. Okay. That's not a bad call. That's actually not a bad call. Now Unk had it right, by the way. So we'll go back to that. Unk got a good head on their shoulders, yo, for real. AK's right. If this person down bottom decides that they want to commit, though, oftentimes they've got cover right here and they've got cover right here. And so they may not necessarily like commit. If they move beyond this right here, then sure. But most good players are not going to move beyond here. They will take the 1v1 from here. I will take the 1v1 from here. But usually I'm taking the 1v1 from this corner right here. And I'm not necessarily like committing per se beyond here unless the rest of my team is like pushing up, which, you know, dictates a different positioning from you anyway. So say, for example, they do that and they're just peek shooting you from there. This is my next natural spot. Why is this my next natural spot? Because I can slide and cut that angle off from here, right? So as long as I don't like move to the far right here, then I'm not visible to that bottom left. And that means that anybody that's right here is accessible to me. What does that also mean? That means that if nobody's right there, I can actually shoot somebody that's down here. This is one of my favorite spots on this map right here. If nobody's in this spawn right here, you can actually shoot through this window, right? I can actually shoot through this window. And also, AK, peek that again. Also, right here. I'm cut off from the left side. I'm cut off from anything other than like a direct flank. And I can literally just like hit somebody coming around this corner right here. Right? So another like solid spot. So don't get like, I'll go back around, come back, you know, to the beginning of this. Don't get flustered. I just want to repeatedly say over and over and over again, don't get flustered if you are trapped in a spawn. It's a puzzle. Figure it out. Where can I be to either tuck and get a trade to the point where they won't necessarily see me and I'll be able to drag them in, bait them into close quarters, right? And try to take that fight that way with the elements that I have for close quarters, my melee, my abilities, etc., etc. You know, you got to think of it like I need to get a trade at the very least. You know, I need to get a trade at the very least, which means I just need to get silly on somebody. So it's either a tuck or it's just moving around the map, ideally with your primary first, unless they want to push up on you, and just try to break line of sight to the multiple enemies and try to isolate a 1v1. Because say, for example, okay, now from that same side, AK decides to just straight up push me. You know, he just decides to straight up push me, and he pushes me before his teammate pushes me, which is often the case. It's not as frequent that you're going to get a coordinated push by somebody coming from dark right there, and they're going to look at you from here, and on top of that, from somebody coming this backside. So say AK pushes all the way up here. AK, come up here. He pushes all the way up here. Oh, AK is not there. Okay, there you go. He pushes all the way up here. So then I'm not gonna take you out. So then I end up taking out AK here. Luckily, you know, because I'm just moving. I take him out, and then what? My team is spawning. It's a spawn trap, right? That's what we're talking about. My team is spawning at A spawn. I take out him because he ended up pushing up before the rest of his team, and then I just travel down catwalk. I talked about it yesterday as well. This whole concept of, hey, if you're trapped, you know what I'm saying? Like, do the stuff that we just talked about. Try to get a trade. But if they're gonna let you out, you go. You get out. You know? Is it 100% that you're gonna get out? No, but once you move beyond this commitment spot, right? A commit spot again, which is this long lane right here, right? You guys understand that? You move beyond, you know, cover, and you're coming down this long lane. There's no more cover when you're in this lane right here. So you don't stop, you don't turn around, you just move, you go, right? So you come down here, and just where is that AK? That's my goat right there. He already knows. And so I'm literally just running to my team and dragging the enemy team. If they're stupid enough to push down this lane right here, you know, while I'm running away, then AK is already there in the opposite spawn watching my back. So I die, and ideally AK is going to get the trade out on somebody that continues to try to push down that lane. And if they don't push down, they're at least going to get pinged by AK to the point where most times they're just going to slide back. The tougher one is if somebody decides they want to come through dark, where they're not necessarily like immediately visible by AK, but nonetheless, you know, like if you just take this nice and wide off to the right and drag anybody. So that's what I mean by drag as well. Like anytime I make the call out, hey, drag them, that just means drag them into my line of sight. Drag them into my line of sight so that then I can look after you. Because again, at the end of the day, it's all numbers. I end up going down. That's fine. But what did I do? I ended up dragging them over here, making it so that they had to push all the way up here in order to shotgun me, you know what I'm saying? And right into AK's line of sight. And if they decide, hey, I don't want to die, you know what I'm saying? That means that AK just saved my life and I'm able to get away. And now I'm not spawn trapped anymore, right? And now we're all back together. Yep. Stall for time. Try to reconnect. Exactly. Yo, what up, free toes? Hell yeah. Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. So, you know, those are concepts you can apply like on any map. You just got to think about like, what are the commitment points? Where can I, like I often say, connect the dots, right? What does that mean? That means go in a direct line. The fastest that you can get to your team is in a direct line. Go in a straight line to the rest of your team and just book it, commit. Drag the enemy team if you're getting chased, which means just drag them into your teammates' line of sight. Stall for time if you can't get out. If you don't think you get out, stall for time. Oftentimes, it'll be a combination of those elements, right? You end up, just like I said, stalling for time in spawn, crouching somewhere, or just like splitting the enemy team up using cover elements. And then you end up getting a fight, end up taking out AK back here. And then it ends up switching to, okay, well, now I need to drag them and run because they gave me an out. So oftentimes you'll see it, you know, like people, that's why I say don't split off of twos and things like that. So another concept is if you and someone else are splitting a spawn by yourself, or you and somebody else are split, right? You like the general rule of thumb is you don't split off of twos. You don't split. You don't one person take one direction and one person take the other direction. Why is that? It's because of the fact that you don't want to give the enemy team the opportunity to 1v1 on one side, get recovered because they're behind cover because you guys split all the way around from each other, and then it's no more it's a mismatch now, or it's no more a mismatch. Now it's back to a 1v1, right? You don't want to give the enemy team the opportunity to just take a 1v1 after a 1v1 after a 1v1 by option like by choosing to split. Just go ahead and run the numbers and run it down as two and stick together as two. And that gives you 2 times the firepower, hopefully against a mismatch that would just be one person. So hopefully, again, that makes sense. So concepts, big concepts for today, you know, are commitment versus cover, right? Don't split off of twos. Don't split off of twos. What was another one? Somebody else. What was another one? Another big one for today that's just a general concept. Hopefully somebody's taking notes. I'm trying to think myself.
Stall and reconnect.
Stall and reconnect. Connect the dots, right? Drag.
Commit. Like if you're gonna commit.
Be decisive. Exactly. Be decisive. SB, probably next weekend. Probably next weekend. Not today. Probably next weekend. Those are all big concepts that you can apply to like any map, right? Any map. All right. Let me see. When I was talking yesterday about lockers is back here. So come to this spawn. So now we're on the opposite spawn. So Mills is that spawn right there. And this is typically like ADOM spawn. This is lockers back here. This is a good spot. This is the spot. God damn. Yo, somebody just fucked me up.
My bad. I'm at the.
It's all good.
Okay.
So this is the spot back here. This is the tuck. This is the, hey, if they want to split and one person wants to come through this door on the left and one person wants to try to come through this door on the right, it is rare, honestly, even with the most coordinated teams, it's rare that they're going to come through at the exact same time. And so oftentimes you can split them off and try to get like a 1v1 at the very least for a trade, right? You can split them off to the degree that you won't be visible to both of them at the same time. And hopefully for a split second, you can end up getting a 1v1, right? So it's this tuck back here, which is exactly where you guys are. This is where I go, you know what I'm saying, if I need to like drag them back. And if you go as far back into spawn sometimes as possible, then that baits for time as well and allows your team to come to the backside of them. The longer you stay alive, the higher the probability that the rest of your team is going to come on the flip side and be able to pinch. And then if you end up getting some damage on them or getting a trade, then that's even better because it's numbers, or at the very least, you know, it's damage that you will be able to create to make it easier for your team to just rush on the backside of them. Oh, I like a joke. Hold on. I'll take a second for this. A photon checks into a hotel. The front desk asks if there's any luggage. It replies, no, I'm traveling light. Dope. That's a good one. That was a genuine laugh. Love it. Welcome. Let me see. So this is the tuck there in the back, especially if you're a Titan. I love it in the back with the Titan because you just put up a barricade and you can cut off even more access to the people, particularly on the left. In particular, the people on the left. Why the people on the left? Because no matter where you are in this tuck in the back, you're available to the person that's on the right. So if you put up a barricade on this left side right here, then you cut off even more access to this person, these people on the left. They have to make some real decisions on how to end up approaching you back in this tuck, especially if you are truly cut off from them tuck in this back left corner. So again, these are general concepts. Look for these types of places on any map. General concepts. Look for these type of places on any map to give you the best opportunity to, you know, waste time and to isolate 1v1s by cutting off different lines of sight. Exactly. Hold that ground, Titans. Exactly. Oftentimes as well, with my primary, I'll bait people into this doorway right here. This doorway. Right? So again, I'm not going to go over all these spots for every single map, but you should be able to think about every map, look at the different map elements and find similar spots. This is a good shotgun spot. Bait them in, crouch right here at this box. You can float, you can jump, you know, in order to throw them off once they come through, but shotgun them And then hopefully you'll be able to, like, that's the only person coming through the spawn, and you just rotate completely out. You just commit and you rotate completely out trucks. Oftentimes your team is going to be coming over cap point, or your team is actually going to be looking at you from trucks. And what do I do oftentimes? AK knows it. I'm right here at this door right here, and I'm just like, yo, come through trucks, come through trucks, come through trucks. And it's the same sort of thing. You're literally dragging the enemy team right into the fire of what they don't know. They don't necessarily know sometimes that I'm sitting here at B-Dom just crouched, literally just waiting. Oftentimes I spawn up, and this is good for anybody that's doing the opposite, like that's doing my role right now, right? Like my teammate is there at trucks, they're trying to get out or whatnot, and somebody on the enemy team they don't see me crouched, and they actually end up crossing over from here, and they commit to trying to pinch my teammate coming out of trucks, right? What happens is I'm sitting here like a little bitch, crouching this door, telling my teammate to drag him and pull him out of trucks, and I just ping this person that comes right through here. I literally just hit him. I either take him out, or I make them so weak that my teammate that's coming, that I tell them, yo, they're weak. One's weak. I just popped them. They're coming into trucks right now. Then AK just cleans them up and just continues to proceed forward. So think about both of those roles. Listen to call outs. Make the right call out to try to help out your teammate when you're not in trouble, but they are. And then just allow them, tell them to drag. You tell them to go the direction that is optimal for you to get line of sight. And then you just do what you need to do. And sometimes you actually end up taking that person out. Sometimes you end up like making them weak, and you just make that call out that they're weak, and that gives your teammate who's trapped and a greater opportunity to either get the trade or just take them out and continue forward. So that's just different ways that you can end up flipping a disadvantage. Between these streams and old Cammy vids, I'm just about ready to finally ascend from Bronze 3. Let's get it, baby. This right here I was talking about yesterday is like, this is the first engagement, right? This is the first engagement. One team spawns up at A, the other team spawns up at Mills. 9 times out of 10, yeah, what up, Ben? 9 times out of 10, people are going to take a fight right here at Divider. This is why grenades are so like important on this map, because this is a crazy stalemate. This is a crazy stalemate. Nobody's going to push from Divider and somebody's sitting on this box right here, right? Not without some sort of damage or something like that. Nobody's going to push beyond this right here, this Divider from this side, because they're exposed to long lane right here. They're exposed to people that have all types of cover. Somebody's going to be right here at this column. Somebody's going to be right here at this door. Assuredly, somebody's going to be right here at this door. Somebody's going to be at crack. Somebody might even be at pipes. And if it's a sniper, somebody's going to be in the potato spot on this map on top of this box, crouched. This is the sniper. This is the potato spot for this map. So it's just like grenades are incredibly important on this map, especially angular grenades like lightning grenades, spike grenades, because people are going to just be sitting on cover, on doorways and things like that, in order to just like try to get that peak damage, try to get a drop so that they can finally push through, because there's so much protection elements. Over here, you got the protection element of that box on cap point. Oftentimes, me, I'm going to be at this doorway right here, peek shooting that. Oftentimes, it'll be Holy Rice back here at this corner right here on this second column. This is what I call second column, by the way. Oftentimes, there's going to be somebody here that's usually in a rift that's going to be here. They get weak. They're just going to be floating, and so they're just going to be holding, right? Getting peak shots here, getting peak shots on the right here. And it's really good to have somebody actually right here on this column, somebody that isn't stressed, somebody that's got a rift ideally, because, the enemy team is going to try to eventually push up, just like I would do. The enemy team, as long as somebody's not here sniping, crouched sniping in the back of the map from trucks, which, like there might be. So you got to be careful coming out of like main door to B. Got to make sure that nobody's at trucks. But as long as nobody's at trucks, then I'm gonna try to push up. I don't care if like somebody's right here at column or not, because I can cut myself off. If you look at this angle that I'm at right here, I can cut myself off just fine from anything happening on the right and slide just enough about right here, and I can hit Starlight here. And then Starlight has to basically decide that she's going to take this fight right here with me, which is a tough one, because I could just continue to push forward. I could be multiple teammates too. It could be like 2 or 3 people right there behind that column, or behind right here. Or, like they're just going to back up. They're just going to back up to like right here. So my point is, it's always useful to have somebody here, particularly a warlock and a rift, particularly a warlock that can float if necessary as well, and make it tough to get pushed on, because then, you know, they could be kind of like covering and being a nuclear deterrent to anybody that wants to push backside divider, right? The other nuclear deterrent is like somebody that's on a sniper in particular being right here. But if I'm on a primary, it's, you know, unless I have like a pulse rifle, something that can get full damage all the way back to this back column right here, then I'm not going to be like right here for too long. The only reason I'd be here in spawn watching this is to try to like bait somebody out of this door right here, the main door to B, and pick them off. But I'm not going to be here for long because it's a waste of time. You know, I'm not here getting into the team fight with the rest of my team. So this is a real team fight that happens right here. So it's really important that unless you're flanking through dark, unless you're the strong player flanking through dark to try to get some peak damage on that left side, you generally want to be in the team fight. If Holy Rice is up here, if Ben is up here and he's getting shots and getting shot, then I'm probably not going to stay inside this door right here because I don't really have access to whatever Ben is shooting. I'm probably going to slide up and try to make sure that I get in the fight. Just like I said yesterday, if I see an exclamation point over my teammate's head, right? If my teammate is shooting at somebody, I am trying to get in that fight and shoot at the exact same person to minimize TTK and hopefully get a drop, you know? So I'm less likely to like sit back. The only reason I'd sit back here is because I'm going to tell my teammate to come back because I see that we're not going to be able to like do anything from that particular position. But most times I'm just going to go ahead, slide up and try to help out. And I think that's just a general rule of thumb as well, is if you see your teammate in a fight, if you see them taking damage, but even not damage, if you see your teammate in a fight shooting someone, then you want to try to be as quickly as possible in that same fight, shooting the exact same person, irrelevant of whether you're on their angle or a different angle, you're shooting the exact same person. You don't want to let that go on like beyond like a couple shots. Let's see. So grenades are like super important on this one, just because, like I said, there's a lot of stalemate like right here at this divider. Another concept, and then we'll move on to another map. And you know, we're getting close to the end. I won't inundate you guys for too long. I'll try to ask more questions and make sure that folks are engaged. I don't want people to fall asleep here. Generally, the strongest player is the one that flanks. The strongest player is the one that flanks. Oftentimes, Calm is on my team, and that motherfucker loves to flank. So it's just like, he's going to go through dark, he's going to have a 120 on, and he is going to try to get pop shots from dark. And generally, that person, you know what I'm saying, if it's me, I'm going to try to like go back and forth. I'm going to get a couple pop shots. Once they see me, I'm going to go right through here, and I'm going to come right back around. Why? Because I want that radar to show that I came all the way back around. And then once I get a couple seconds in, I'm going to go back, right? If it's still a stalemate, I'm going to go back. And I'm going to try to get more pop shots. I need them to just continue to be uncomfortable. Oh, there's a flanker. Oh, there's not. They went back. Oh, there's a flanker, you know? And the more they have to keep track of that flanker gives my teammates on the other side the opportunity, you know, to hopefully get a push going, right? And then I can just push through on the flank. Going back and forth as well, make sure that make sure that I'm there if we get pushed, right? If they recognize it's a 4v3 and we get pushed, then I'm coming straight back. The other thing is try to coordinate the timing, right? If you are the solo and you are pushing, you know what I'm saying, from the side, if you are flanking from the side, then you need to make sure that whoever you get weak, you're on an angle that allows the rest of your team to hopefully try to shoot the other person, shoot that same person from the other side. So you guys need to be on like complementary angles, right? Complementary angles. That's the ideal. Also, if it's not obvious at the time, you guys need to make sure that you coordinate your push as well. If it's just like, yo, I got this person weak, then that should be the clue for the other side of the team to push up and try to access that same person, you know? Because it's all about breaking the stalemate, right? It's all about breaking the stalemate. The reason why somebody goes on that flank is to break a stalemate, is to try to get, you know, some damage on a complementary angle so that we can now push through and continue to push that advantage. And the last thing that I'll say is the same thing from yesterday, you know? And since I said it yesterday, I'll ask this in the form of a question. When are we pushing? When are we getting aggressive? There's two situations I mentioned yesterday.
Because you're out of option, you're gonna die.
No. I'm talking about as a team.
Oh.
As a team, and it's 4 and 4. You know, like what's the advantage? Like when do we see, like what is the advantage that then lets us know that, hey, we're actually gonna go ahead, push through this engagement, go beyond, you know, cover and commit to engaging them like up close.
About this map yesterday, you said once you get a grenade tag zone because of the
That's one.
stalemate on this map.
Exactly. Big
Damage
nade.
volume.
That's the call out. Big nade. Big nade. We're going. When Ben pushes, that's a good one too. What was the second one?
My captain tells me to.
What's the second one? The second one should be more obvious. It's just math. When are we pushing?
Whenever they have less people,
Exactly.
they're split.
Exactly. Both of them. Oh man, I didn't even think about that last one, but that's also like key, right? When we end up getting a pick and now it's 4v3, now it's 3v2, right? That's when you go. That's when you go. You try to be accurate with your aggression, but that's when you go. You got to take advantage of the advantage when you can, simply because of the fact that 7 seconds and they're going to get that teammate right back up. You don't have time to just like dilly-dally at that point. Then, like I said, big nade, and then Starlight made a great point, right? When it's a split and you see a 4v3 or a 4v1, everybody just flips on that 1. Everybody flips on that 3 if it's, you know what I'm saying, like if it's ideal to flip on the 3 as opposed to the 1. A really good example of that, and that'll transition us into the last map. Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, yep. Exactly. That's yep. He's absolute, and then you swing, and he's. Oh yeah. Well, yeah. You probably don't want to make that call. Yeah. Hey, Ben, that's why you my goat, bro. That's why you my goat. Exactly. That's exactly where we're going. That's literally exactly where we're going, dude.
No.
It's burnout.
Always.
That's exactly the one. I know you know exactly the exchange that I'm talking about too. Yep. Burnout's that OG like favorite. Jab 4 is definitely my favorite for sure. Yep. Just clean. Javelin's just clean. I love it. And I'll show you as well that rubble that I was talking about that's just going to bump you up on this map that just pisses me off, man. I don't ever, want to see this stuff on any map, man, because it just, like, especially if I'm on a corner and there's rubble that's going to, like, impede my movement, like smooth movement.
Yeah.
Like, I'm on that corner, like, trying to play my life, man. I don't need rubble right there to impede me from, like, you know, peeking back in the cover or just, you know, completely turning off, like getting off. It's just bad, man. There's so many little, exactly. Yeah. And that's crazy too, because Burnout's one of the best like movement maps in my opinion as well. On Warlock, you can zoom on stairs, right? And we've got several stairs on Burnout. You know, you've got Hunter ceiling surfing as well. On Burnout, it's a great movement map. But there's so much like little stuff, this rubble that ends up impeding that sometimes. So if you're inside, you're going to go to the right and go down to west door. If you're outside, you're going to go to the left immediately out of spawn and go to west door. Oh, man. We spawned at west door. Crazy. I forgot about that. Nice. So this right here is that stupid rubble I talk about. My God, this shit fucks me up like so much, man. I'm trying to get out or I'm trying to do something and you got to slide over this rubble. It just like messes up. It just messes up, man. It's stupid. I mean, it's even right here. I don't know why there's like piles of rocks on each of these corners, man. But anyway, Ben knew exactly what I was about to say. So oftentimes on Burnout, right? If you're outside you're obviously going to be covering the middle door, right? And then you're pinging and watching the left flank and the right flank to see if somebody's actually going to flank. And then ideally, the strong player is going to be on a flank somewhere, especially if it becomes like a stalemate. Then, you know, we need to get some sort of movement, some sort of action going, right? So most people are going to be in the middle. You don't want to be split off of 2 degrees. This is another like general concept, right? You don't want to be split off of 2 degrees. What does that mean, right? Left some feedback. Appreciate the time. All right, big love, Zay. I appreciate you. And I'll probably check that feedback before I get off then too. You don't want to be split beyond 2 degrees. What does that mean? 2 degrees of access to the enemy. The enemy can access you from west door, from middle, and from east door on the right. That means that your team doesn't want to be covering the right door and then nobody cover the middle and then somebody's covering the left door. Why? Because obviously, well, no, I'll just ask. Like, why do you not want like half of your team on the right door and half of your team on the left door, but nobody in the center?
Because they can come right in mid. Like, that's where I've seen most of the engagements on this map.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They can come through right
like,
through
where
mid.
B is.
Exactly. They can come right through B, right through mid, and then they'll just choose a side. And there's nothing much that you can do about it if you're on the opposite side of that, because there's like so much cover that can cut you off. So that's why like somebody always has to be watching the mid. Somebody always has to be watching the mid. Ideally, the majority of the team watch at least like 2 people. If it's 2 people, like just in general, honestly. If you're playing 3v3, then that means like 2 people are watching mid and 1 person might be on the flank left or right. That provides the opportunity then, you know, for at least 1 person to peel off of mid if somebody on the enemy team decides to flank to the door that your solo is not at, right? But somebody's always got to be watching mid, because if they flow out, then they can just split you because there's too much cover in between like left and right doors. And that just forces whoever's left to just push through like left door. That's the other thing too. Like if you guys spawn like right here, this is a main spawn on west door, you just go in. The radar is too big to the point where like you don't know if somebody's the enemy is all the way down at right door at east side right here. So if you spawn right here, you literally just tell your team to go in. Like everybody just go in. You can decide, you know, it's possible that you need to go back out, but rarely is that the case when you spawn right here, because when you spawn right here, that usually means that you're being force spawned right here because the enemy team is somewhere on the right side. If they weren't on the right side, then you'd actually spawn middle right here, and you'd spawn right here behind this box. Those are the 3 main spawns on the outside right here. So when you spawn at this left door, there's sometimes like where you spawn tells you where the enemy is. Sometimes where you spawn actually does tell you where the enemy is. And that's why the default for when you spawn right here is to just go in, because you spawned here for a really good reason. And that's because they didn't spawn you in what is the preferential spawns for outside, when outside is completely clear of here and there. And specifically, if you spawn right here in mid, you do have to kind of like make sure that you don't get pushed through middle. But if you spawn mid right here, it is extremely unlikely that somebody's on the right or left of you. It may be, especially if you spawn by yourself, that somebody is looking at you or about to push out through mid. But it is extremely unlikely that somebody's going left and right. So when I spawn up right here in particular, I immediately come over to the closest piece of cover, which is this left side. And I'm looking just to make sure that I'm not getting pushed through mid, which is exactly what I would do if I was on the enemy team, if I was on the opposite side. So just keep that in mind. Where you spawn sometimes will literally tell you where the enemy is. And therefore, it will dictate, you know, like I talked about, the fact that when you drop down into a spawn, there's almost always an action to be taken immediately. When you drop down in mid spawn right there, the action is to move to your left, move behind this cover, and double check to make sure you're not getting pushed through mid. Because it's unlikely you're getting pushed from left, right, and that's why you spawned in mid. When you spawn on that right side right there, it's kind of similar to the left side. You're kind of figuring out where you need to go from there. If the rest of your team is spawning outside, you stay there. If you're spawning by yourself outside and you still have teammates inside, I'm generally going to carefully go in on this right side. I'm not necessarily going to commit to this right side. I just want to see, okay, is the rest of my team spawning inside? Is anybody really pushing me from the left side? Is anybody like where's the enemy? Where's my team at? And then you just try to connect the dots from there. If you spawn on that left side though, you just generally go right in. You just generally go right in because that is telling you where the enemy is for the most part. But going back to what me and Ben were talking about what was it, Ben? It was like we were talking about the splits. That's right. So if I'm on the team that's inside, right? It's 3 or 4 of us inside and we're like right here. 3 or 4 of us inside and we're like right here. And we got Calm that ends up like flanking on this right side right here. And unfortunately it's Calm, so that's not a good example. Let's just say it's somebody that's less skilled and less movement oriented than Calm, because Calm will get out. You see somebody, and especially if somebody ends up like committing in, the solo ends up committing in, like they go beyond the cover, beyond this corner right here. And now they get cheeky. They want to start taking pop shots from this little head glitch right here. They want to like start peek shooting you from like right here. You got a decision to make, and actually it's a fairly easy decision to make. You could either push that solo that's on the left or on the right, or you could push the advantage of 4v3 outside. And that right there is what you have to think about if you're the person on the flank, is what position. If I take a position that is like a commitment position, then that's usually a position that also exposes the rest of my team to a mismatch push, especially if this wheel like goes down and I no longer even have access. That's always like, that's why Ben ended up mentioning this map, is because that specific split, that specific 3v1 split of somebody on west door and 3 people out mid is probably the time that you'll see it the most, where a team will just rush outside. It usually is. They will usually take the 4v3 outside. They will rush right outside, and there's not much you can do from that left side, especially if you commit and move in. So that's where you got to be careful. You got to be careful. You got to be thinking about, man, if they end up pushing my 3, I got to make sure that I can get back in time to be able to still make it a 4v4. And that's why, again, like I said on Dead Cliffs, it's a back and forth. If I go down and I'm the flanker through dark, then usually I'm traveling back and forth. I'm taking a pop shot or 2, you know what I'm saying? But it's rare that I'm just going to absolutely commit down there unless I feel that, you know, we really do have the advantage, because it's if a smart team will push they'll quickly coordinate and push the mismatch, and you just have to be really careful about that. And that's why oftentimes, again, I say it's usually the strongest player on the team that is flanking, and I try to defer to that as well. If there's somebody who's just either just straight up better than me, or is better in that particular situation, in that particular game on that flank, or has the kit that allows them to stay alive and make that flank happen, make that flank work. They're getting good damage. They have a Thorn is another good example. I'll let the Thorn user that's on Warlock usually with a Rift, they'll just be peek shooting and getting damage and getting ticks, allowing us more of an opportunity to both stay alive, because nobody's going to push when they're weak through the door. They're not going to push the 4-3 mismatch when they're getting pinged by a Thorn on the side, and they're taking damage over time, right? So it takes them more time to recover. But also, the more time, you know, that they're recovering, or the more time that they're not recovering, that gives us outside more of an opportunity to get a down, right? Because there's somebody that's just perpetually weak in there. So those are the things you got to think about, especially on like splits, but particularly, you know, if you're the solo on the split, and just try to defer to like the strongest player on the split usually, and try to stick together otherwise until you get a little bit more depth, because there's a lot of stuff involved in, you know, being the person that's split off and being the solo. The last thing I'll say about that as well is, I'll just repeat, complementary angles. There's no reason, there's no point to me splitting off and getting damage on the side if my teammates aren't at an angle to benefit from that. So there's just certain angles. These maps are actually pretty good for the most part, especially the scrim maps are pretty good, that those angles are pretty obvious and pretty straightforward. But on some maps, you can be at an angle and be getting damage. Just like I said yesterday, there are certain times where somebody will get 12k damage, but they'll have like a 1.2 KD. And that just means, you know, they're either in the wrong position at the wrong timing, or they're not coordinated with the rest of the team to get that elim off of that damage. But going back to what I said, it's just like, you know, if you're going to take a split, then you got to make sure that it's complementary angles to the point where your team can actually benefit from it. Otherwise, it's just you're getting damage, and it's not and you're just exposing you and your team to a mismatch. So not gonna lie, I be doing that sometimes. Yeah, we all do it sometimes. It's just important to think about like what is the real advantage of you or what is the real point, what is the real objective, what is the real intention behind you splitting off, like if you're really trying to make an impact on the team, because some people just like literally turn their brains off and they split off, and we're all like guilty of it sometimes. But if you're trying to win that game, if you're trying to make that team impact, if you're trying to be there for the team, then it's important that you try to coordinate to get that drop, even if you can't get it. Hopefully a teammate is on the side to be able to get it, because there's nobody on your team that's going to deny the fact that you're giving them a kill, right? So they're going to be happy to be in the right position to be able to clean up the mess that you just created for the enemy team. So it's just like, make it easy for them. Be on the right angle at the first, in the first, like be on the right angle to begin with, and call it out so that they know that somebody's weak, left side column, or like, hey, I got a big nade, push in, their backside column, they're moving back, somebody's top right bridge, somebody's top left, etc. Somebody peek from that right side, because they can get an angle that I can't get. Somebody just, they're staying in mid. That's why, like I always say, it's dangerous. One of those like spider sense moments is when I'm in the middle right here. If you guys come inside, this is the last thing I'll say, and then I'll just open it up to questions. Like I'll often say, hey, just back up, because we'll be holding it down here for a bit. We got a rift, we're chilling. You know what I'm saying? We got a barricade, we're literally just chilling. This feels good, right? This feels good. But if those wheels are down and you see red on both sides, that spider sense is tingling for me. I'm just like, yo, just back up. And if I'm on Titan, I'm putting a barricade right here and telling my teammate to push through it. And then we just take like this position here, right? This position here. I'm sorry. This position on top, the other side. And we're just baiting them in. And then if they come in, they come in. If they don't, then we can push back up. But I'm not saying play passive. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying that it's a back and forth. And if you see red on both sides and these wheels are not down, but even if they're down, they're eventually going to come up, then the spider sense has to be tingling and you have to take a different position. So even if we fall back here, then we might like, okay, I got this. So then what do? If we back up, we're getting pushed from the left, the right, and the middle at the same time. Those wheels, they're coming up and down. We have to back out of center because we can get pinged from left and right, which is just instant deletion. We back up. What are we doing next? If we're moving, what are we doing next?
Pick a side and we push out.
Let's go. I said the exact opposite of what that was. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. You're picking a side and you push out. Why? Because it's a split. It's not the full team, right? So you pick a left or you pick the right, and you either go library and bait this person in on the left because they're getting froggy, or you go right, and then you hit them, and then you just push out. And you can either push out to get outside, or you can just whip back around. But either way, like even in defense, there's still an opportunity for offense, right? You're just pushing back to the next rung of defense. If you're getting if you're getting exposed, you're just pushing back to that next degree of cover. But there's still like options beyond that. You're still trying to get aggressive. You're still trying to find like a mismatch. And that mismatch in that situation is to just back up and then pick a side as a team, left and right, and then just push that mismatch, because they're obviously not the full strength team that's on the left or the right. And if they get baited in and they're pushing our spawn, that's even better, because once they get past the commitment point, right, which on either side is these walls right here, right, on either side, once they get past that commitment side, that commitment point, and they're like in hall or library, this is hall and library is the opposite side, that's a commit. And that means they're exposed to us if we decide we want to push down the bridge where Starlight is, and then Elon in the back, that's a pinch right there. That person is dead. That person is 1000% dead. And even if they decide, hey, I'm gonna like head glitch these stairs, if we like, that's still kind of dead, especially if this wheel is up the way that it is right now. You just literally push on them full strength. The teams that have always been the toughest for me are the ones that are, and probably for most people, are the ones that are so coordinated, you know, that they will literally recognize a mismatch in an instant and flip instantly to a 4v1. I do not flank those teams. I do not flank those teams. You know, I let somebody who's better flank those teams, or we just don't flank those teams because they're so coordinated that they will literally flip on any mismatch. They will flip on any big nade, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the end goal, you know, for any team, honestly, is to make that call out, and for that call out to be a team-wide call out where they are coordinated enough to very, very quickly flip on any mismatch that they see and just expose those mistakes, those weaknesses. So cool. All right, it's time for questions. What questions we got? And it could be for chat, from chat as well. And in the meantime, I'll check what feedback Zay dropped for me. Ooh, oh, he dropped some good stuff. Hold on. All right, so Zay does say, okay, he said, great first boot camp. Wanted to give you some feedback from a coaching perspective, because he actually does coach basketball. Love the intention, trying to reconnect questions to current talking points. He said, love that you tried to generalize concepts. I do believe that using reps to solidify talking points is important, and we'll try to get that next weekend. And a controlled match or a match with restrained rules could be a good way. For example, rule of this match is to always group up as a team before taking a fight, or always shave a buddy when sliding. Always have a buddy when sliding. A really important way of hammering concepts into people, and I'll finish the sentence. He's saying a really important way of hammering concepts into people is the experience of actually doing it, right? So like, you know, like I end up, you know, stating a concept, and then we actually end up pushing through that practice of that concept to kind of like hammering that down. He says the next point, you have a ton of important and awesome information and appreciate that you're not holding back info. I do think with the nature of D2 PvP skill gaps, having a little bit of more succinct information and avoiding over-explaining could help some info stick. Yeah, and I'm definitely guilty of like over-explaining stuff, and hopefully it didn't hurt too bad. Also helps you to keep your flow when touching on topics because there are too many situations to follow. He said, I think number 5, I think following the flow you had when watching reviews was perfect. You had specific points to talk about and let questions form naturally. Okay, all right, so that might be the way going forward, honestly. From the last time you did this sort of thing, sitting and watching someone's stream did a great job of letting them learn without fighting a high level 3 while getting that insight from a level 3. Again, easy to move off topic and spew information, and always good putting yourself in a position that has a natural structure to follow, which again is he's talking about VOD review type stuff. Last point, he said, consider breaking down things into categories such as mechanics, positioning, rotations, comms, and responding to comms, recognizing splits, etc. You did keep that at least with the positioning, but again, just a tip to keep an organic structure from coming from a coach. He said, love that you put the effort in and always appreciate the time. Always open to talk about coaching aspects and support in any way, helping with that. And big love and great job. Yep. Appreciate you, Zay. And yeah, I apologize today too. Like I'm just like really, really tired. So appreciate the grace. All right. Anybody that's in call, think of any questions that you have. If not, it's no big deal. I'm not trying to put anybody in the spot. You know, you could always ask questions anytime at me or at someone else. So if you got them, you got them. If not, no big deal. In chat, Knucklehead versus speed boots, advantages, disadvantages. Speed boots, the advantage is that you keep up with the pace of the game. It gives you forgiveness on positioning and rotations as well. I didn't mention as much about rotations. I was going to, you know, say a little bit more about that, but maybe I'll save that for when we're actually like boots on the ground playing a game next weekend. I will just go ahead and say we'll do that next weekend. Knucklehead, I don't know. Knucklehead is like good training wheels. I don't really use Knucklehead. I haven't used Knucklehead in like a minute, but Knucklehead's good training wheels. If we're talking about Knucklehead as far as, I think that exotic still works where it like marks like enemies so that you can actually like see when they're going to peek behind cover and things along that line. It's good. I feel like, you know, the advantage is obvious with that. You know, you can time your shot. You will also, for a split, know exactly where they're going if they're peeling off a corner and going back to the rest of their team or whatnot. But I feel like speed boost for most people is going to be, you know, more of an advantage, especially if you come into, you know, lobbies that are generally higher, like higher skill level. See, Emmanuel says depends on your playstyle. I use knuckleheads, but that's because I like to lane more than push, so that information is super useful. That's a good point. That's a good point. If you play faster, the speed boots are better. It just depends on what you want to do. I'll say this as well. Even if you don't play faster, if the lobby is playing faster pace wise, then speed boots are great. But like I said, you know, like speed boots are just great for giving forgiveness and positioning, because then you just able to peel off and get back with the rest of your team that much faster. Yeah, that much faster. Yeah, of
What are the
course.
exotics-
Of course. Yeah, I'm listening.
What are the exotics that people are running on a Titan outside of like the speed boots or like an Ophidian's class item?
Synthos is probably the one that I see the most. Even on the class item, I run Ophid Synthos. Synthos, Doonies. You see a little bit of land ramparts if you're building into hipfire a little bit. That's what Elijah uses. It's a little bit niche, but nonetheless, it's very effective, especially if you double it up with a hipfire weapon specifically. Let's see what else on Titan. Everybody, in this atmosphere, if we're talking about pubs, then you're going to see a few more things. You might see like a Mask of the Quiet One every once in a while. You're definitely going to see One-Eyed Mask. Those are the big ones.
Yeah, I was mainly referring to labs, because if it's pubs, I'm just running peacekeepers all the time.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, no, labs, you're generally going to see Synthos and Dunes. Yeah, agreed. And looks like that's what Ben is saying. That's what Cowboy's saying as well. Yeah. Yep, PKs, most definitely. If PKs were allowed in labs, then I'm sure we'd see a lot more of those as well.
Are there maps where you run long range weapons?
Yeah. You know, like me personally, or you're just saying in general?
Both.
Okay. You know me. You watch long enough. I'm generally not switching. You know, like I like my hand cannon, and I like the challenge of using a hand cannon, a 140 hand cannon in particular, with limited range on any map, because it challenges me to look for those spots, you know, that I can get full damage, and just keep that awareness and that game sense. Like Bannerfall is a really good example of that, because if people want to lane in the back with something really potent and long range, then they can, and it's really difficult for me to challenge at that point. It requires me to move a lot, try to get peak shots as quickly as I can, try to get picks as quickly as I can, and move. It either forces me to do that, or it forces me to play close quarters at beat almost the entire game and push spawns. Like those are the options. Those are the three options on that map for me as a hand cannon shotgun user, is to get to the spawn before they end up spawning so that I can get a pick on that side and just push spawns, or play center, close quarters, get peak shots and play cover from there and shoot shotgun, you know, anybody that actually tries to intrude upon my space, or to play outside and really move around fast and just try to, you know, like get hits on anybody that ends up moving into like Mohawk zone, basically, because obviously I can't really hit people from like, you know, top of the building all the way to the corner spot in the back for full strength. So that's me. As for anybody else, I feel like pulse rifles you could run pretty much like on any map for the most part, but it's a flip, right? It's a flip in the sense of like on some maps like Endless Vale. So on Burnout, because it's a lot of long range engagements right outside, I am limited on where I'm going with the hand cannon. It's still possible. You can still be effective. You just have to be quick. You have to be, you have to have that high game sense to understand like, hey, where can I be at this particular point in time to be impactful, to get like good shots on folks, hopefully full strength shots, so that you can get optimal TTK. It's the flip for a pulse rifle on something like Endless Vale, which is a lot of close quarters. It's a very SMG and hand cannon map, right? So you're limited with the pulse rifle to something like Vex Gate, to something like Middle Lane, to something like Beat to Gold Box, right? That's just above toilet. And so you just have to, pick crispier positioning. You have to have better timing. I do feel like there's more forgiving or more forgiveness with regards to the timing on something with like longer range, like a pulse rifle, right? If you're sitting at Vex Gate with a pulse rifle, then, you're not in mid where you can get pushed up on by like a shotgun, right? They have to actually come into your spawn. So there's a little bit more forgiveness and timing there but the positioning has to be crispy because you're limited, on where you can be to be effective and be out of their effective range. So like I argue that most archetypes of weapons you can make work on like any map. There's no map that, for example, ends up coming up in the trials rotation where I'm just like, I can't use a hand cannon, a 140 hand cannon. And I think the same can be true for most archetypes of weapons outside of maybe scout rifles in this game. SMGs are on the flip side of that, where it's just like it's in their current state, where they're not OP, by the way. It's tough to use it on certain maps if that's your primary weapon and your secondary weapon is like a shotgun or something even closer range, but it's not impossible. On some maps with a scout rifle, it's damn near impossible, honestly. So I hope that answers the question.
Definitely does. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh, did Cammy do a video on this recently, Cowboy? Can you throw it into the labs chat? I appreciate it. It's a good question. Zom says, basically, if they give you the space and your routing is good enough, you can use any gun on any map. It's about controlling distance. Yeah, it's about controlling distance, and it's also about controlling your own space, right? So even when they don't necessarily like give you the space, you take that space. What do I mean by that? You take that space by something as simple as a barricade. You take that space by something as simple as a deterrent of a rift that you're continuously healing in. You take that space with stasis crystals. You take that space with an area denial frame like GL, So like I say this all the time, like there's if there's anything in your kit that's more important, there's nothing more important in your kit than area denial and area control elements. You have to always be thinking about, hey, if somebody enters my space, what do I have in my abilities in particular? But also, like I said, you can do it sometimes with your secondary or your weapons, such as with an area denial frame, like GL. But what do I have in my kit to help me to come out on top in those close quarters, to help be a nuclear deterrent so that people have to hesitate on whether to push me or not? And that's why I enjoy playing Prismatic Titan, because I have a lot of things in that Prismatic Titan kit, to make people hesitate, to give me space, to force space so that I have time to primary, because that's all I like to do primarily in this game is the primary. And so everything is just built around, hey, you need to step off me and you better take this primary fight, or you're just going to have to run into a shit ton of like abilities and other stuff that I got in my kit in order to, push you off. So yeah, Zom says, yep, positioning is very important. If they give me a gap and that lets me get to Mohawk on Bannerfall with a 140, exactly, you can lock down most lanes, or you are only one side away from locking it down. Yep, perfect. Yep, most definitely, because that's the other position that I'll take. That's a great point, because if I'm not on the roof, right, on Bannerfall, then that means if they give me the space, I'm pushing up to Mohawk. And there's nice head glitches on Mohawk, and Mohawk allows you also, if you're in the right position, Mohawk on Bannerfall allows you to take fights outside and inside without being exposed to both at the same time. And by inside, I mean beat on.
Is Mohawk the cover on Bannerfall, like that's right down the middle?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, that's the one. Yep. Any other questions from both like chat or the comms here? And while you guys are thinking, I'll mention a few things about like rotations, since we didn't get as much to that. I do feel like that's something that we should do next weekend when we actually play some games to help out with that. I mentioned some with regards to rotations if you're split spawn, which is always probably one of the biggest questions, is how do we address split spawning? How do we end up getting out of split spawning? How do we end up killing the momentum of the team that is split spawning us and stopping that slide in points? But as far as general team rotations, I did mention some with regards to when there's a 3-1 split or a 2-1 split, you have a teammate that's split off on a complementary angle, ideally. One thing I will say is that I'll repeat it again, is the fact that you got to make sure that you coordinate so that you guys are pushing at the same time. If you actually end up getting people weak, then the 2 people on one side or the 3 people on one side, you be pushing at the same time as the 1 person on the other side. So anytime that I have somebody split on a complementary angle, like I'm always just trying, like me, I'm always just trying to, well, either way, either side, I'm trying to watch the radar to see if they push up. Because if they push up, especially without calling it out, ideally they'd like to, they should call it out. But if they push up, I'm trying to inch closer at the same exact like rate that they're pushing up, and just trying to like squeeze, but not try to get ahead of them or vice versa. So that call out should be made, but if not, ideally that'd be the case. All right. Any other questions? I'm trying to think anything else like rotation wise. I think if I was going to mention, Sergey, thank you so much for the 27 months. I appreciate you. I guess if there's no more questions, and feel free to ask another one after I say this. The last thing about rotations, I think a general way to think about rotations is not giving the enemy team space to breathe. What do I mean by that? You see a space that's empty, you occupy that space. If they're at Mills on Dead Cliffs and nobody's at B-Dom or nobody's at Ivy, then you're trying to occupy that space. Don't give them any room to breathe. Always keep the pressure on them as a team, right? You don't want them to spawn at Mills and then you are sitting back at Trucks where the middle of the field is not occupied, because then that gives them room to breathe. That gives them the opportunity to press up, and that removes the pressure and allows them time and space to set up. You don't want them to set up. If they're going to set up, they better set up in their spawn, because that's all the space I'm giving them, right? So that's a little bit like rotation wise. You just always want to be like you do want to be aggressive as a team. It's the same thing with Javelin, another easy example, right? If they are at blue spawn and they're spawning up and you're still at helipad spawn, the opposite spawn, nobody's occupying center, you do not wait. You push up and you force occupy center. If their entire team is not in center, then you are trying to get to center. Endless Veil, another good example. It's easier as a solo to be a nuclear deterrent and ping the radar. This is another thing, I guess, conceptually. Sometimes you do want to kind of take the risk to be in center by yourself while the rest of your team is moving up and coming out of spawn. Ping that center to let the enemy team know, hey, you can't take this center. Somebody's definitely here. If you take it, you don't know how many people are here, right? But the objective there, whether it's your entire team trying to take center or it's 1 or 2 people trying to hold center until you get out of spawn as quickly as possible. That's why speed boots, again, important part of the game. You just don't want, you want to keep them on their heels. So that's definitely an important part. I've spent my whole Destiny playing PvP life in casual 6s. Learning 3s has been like playing a completely different game in regards to spatial map awareness. Yeah. I mean, I say it all the time, like, especially like a OG, like Scrim player, but just Scrim players in particular, like it is quite easy to jump into a game and to recognize a Scrim player. The habits and the rotations and stuff like that. If you play enough scrims, you'll definitely just start moving like that. The movements, like the motion's different. The motion's different. It's very just precise, efficient, and there's just certain patterns that scrim players will play, which also on the downside makes them more predictable sometimes too. But generally, they're gonna take the most efficient routing and the most efficient timing, and so yeah. And against the average player, that's really difficult to counter. You're right, because you don't learn that most places you just don't learn that other than the scrims, which is why I continue to kind of like double down on labs, because if you learn it here, you're gonna see the efficiency of what we do here and how that's gonna end up playing out to your benefit in pubs, because most people simply do not move like that. All right. Anybody else? Cool. I'm gonna jump out of call then. If anybody wants to ask any other questions, I'll chat it up and stream for just a little bit longer. But I appreciate you guys spending the time, and hopefully it was a benefit to folks as well.
Oh yeah, thank you. It's helpful. It was.
Yeah, and like I said, if you have any questions or something like that, this isn't the end all be all. Is today or yesterday? You can literally like ping me, DM me, but ping me is probably the best because then that'll provide the opportunity for other people to get that answer, to get that understanding, or any of the like level 3s that you end up like building up a good rapport with. Like Arius is great, Ben is great, Zay is great. Zom, even though Zom be just lurking a lot of times, but Zom is great. But anybody that you see, you're just like, oh, I can ask them a question too. Most people here will come back with a really good, really good answer because they know how I vibe. So yeah, this isn't the end all be all. And I'll definitely hop into the chat and we'll schedule some time for next weekend to get boots on the ground. It'll probably be next Sunday since that's probably the time that most people are generally available. But yeah, if you need anything in the meantime, just let me know.
I'm jumping into my first Scrims match with Ben in them.
No,
So-
hey, let's go. Ben is hilarious, man. Just stick with that dude. He's fun. Cool. Well, get it in and let me know if you need anything in the meantime. All right. Precise and efficient it is. Yep. It can also hurt you since sometimes you might take a peek expecting your blues to team shot and then it backfires horribly and you end up getting baited yourself. Yeah. That's why it's so tough as well. That's why it's so tough, I feel like, for a lot of scrim players to go back and forth between. And why it's one of my strengths personally because I'm easily like adaptable. And I also like check my ego really easily too. Like it's one of those things where it's just like, look, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know I'm in pubs. It's just like, we going to play a little bit different. We're going to play a little different, but definitely true. If you play scrims primarily and that's your primary mode of play, then your expectations with regards to your teammates, very, very much different than what you'll end up finding in pubs a lot of times. I just run it down in quick play, no care in the world. I just want to shoot my gun, dead ass. I won't miss these in the future. Appreciate you in this community. 44 and just playing comp for the first time in my life has been frustrating but rewarding. Anything you need, just let me know. I had so much fun this weekend. It was fantastic having you here, Starlight, for real. So looking forward to seeing you more in labs, most definitely. We'll get back to it either tomorrow or on Tuesday. I don't know. I might take tomorrow off. I'm a little worn down. I'm not going to lie. But knowing me, I'm going to try to still be here. We'll see. I'll try to make sure I get enough rest this evening. But I look forward to next weekend. We'll get it in and I'll try to have something really nice and structured for you guys next weekend on Sunday so we can drop down and practice some of these concepts and nail them down. How'd the boot camp go today? It went fantastic. Yeah, we're going to do it, man. We're going to do it. And look out for this old lady I got here. Over here sleeping on my pillow, pooping on my floor. But she'll be all right. I don't know what was going on with her today, man. She's been better. She's been pretty stable, but I don't know. I think she gets herself so excited. Oh yeah, I'll check it out. Right now. I think she gets herself so excited that like about her breakfast or about her like dinner, whatever, or even about her like medicine, like her medication, which oftentimes happens like early afternoon. That I let her out and then she doesn't do her business out there. And I'm just like, man, what are we doing, man? What are we doing? And so she gets so excited about it, about her peanut butter, her meds in her peanut butter. She rushes back in. She doesn't use the bathroom. Right. And then she eats her snack. And then I go and I take a shower or something like that, try to get prepped for stream. And then she poops on my floor. And then she's over there just sniffing it. I'm like, and then she looks at me. And then I think the thing that gets to me is she starts wagging her tail like I'm happy about it. like I'm gonna come over there and pet you. No, you gonna get yourself like right outside. I'm gonna take you right outside. I'm not gonna have a happy face. I'm not smiling, Like I'm not gonna do anything more than that, of course, you know. Like I don't believe in like, you know, hitting your pets, just like I don't believe in hitting kids. You know, that's my personal. I'm not judging anybody. I got beat. I got my ass beat as a kid, dead ass. I got my ass beat. But yeah, I'm gonna take you right downstairs and we're gonna go right back outside. And I don't care whether you peed or pooped out, you know, in the house. You're gonna be outside for like 5-10 minutes. And you got anything left, please go do it out there. But I don't know. That's probably why my best friend like lets like walks her dogs like after they eat. I don't know. With Pretz, she's like that old lady that I don't want her to like be eating because it takes her like 5-10 minutes to eat. And then I go take a shower, like a quick, you know, 5-10 minute shower, or I go downstairs and like I do something, and then she still like poops and pees, you know, and then I don't know, man. She's just an old lady, man. Just an old lady. Oh, how do you determine what rank you are? Yep. Exactly what Zom said. Hey Zom, hey, can you post that video that you made? I keep forgetting honestly to like do more with that, and I want to make my own video like that soon. But Zom was so dope, man. Like Zom made a video because Zom is a creator as well, specifically highlighting labs and what he was enjoying about labs, and because this was like a while back because we've been doing labs for like years. Do you mind posting that video right here in the channel, and then I'm gonna actually like post it over here and like pin it, and then because why am I not highlighting that video like more? You know, every time I think about it, of course I'm blowing it up, but like, oh man, oh I'm not sure if that was Izanami. Oh man, hold on, like hold on, man, I don't even know where to look for it now. Then I could have sworn it was you. Let me. Well, I mean, obviously you're telling me it's not you, but I guess it's another zombie. I could have sworn it was you though, but let me. I don't even know how to. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Hold up. You can probably find it. Okay, if you'll find it or I'll find it here in a second. So feel free. Let me check. Let's see. Do. Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know how to search that. Oh, it was another Izanami? Y'all killing me. Oh, so this is Izal Zami. Y'all killing me, man. Okay. I'm searching. It sucks because we see shorts channels. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. I think this is the channel right here. Hold on. I think. As long as there's Destiny 2 in it. Yeah, it is. I think it's the channel. And then I'm going to start searching it right now. Searching. I should be able to search the actual channel itself. Oh, I think this is it. I played the least popular mode in Destiny 2 for 4 months. I think this is it right here. Hold on.
I spent 4 months playing the least popular game.
Hold on.
Mode in Destiny 2. No, I spent 4 months playing the least popular game mode in Destiny 2. No, not Gambit, not Rift either. It's this node in the bottom here. Custom games.
We can make a mess inside this booth. You're taking me to places old and new. Sweetest song than our favorite song. And it feels like every time that it comes on, we just roll on till the day's done and the lights gone. And it won't take long. Even when I'm
Yeah.
without you, when I'm without you, baby.
He's cool peoples too, man.
Growing up, I would meet up with my friends every weekend, boot up the Xbox 360, and play custom matches in Bungie's brand new game, Halo Reach. These split-screen lobbies were some of my fondest gaming memories. My love for custom games, playing with friends, and curating our own experiences, weapons, and game modes still holds out today. I started out playing custom matches in Destiny like most people do. Grabbed a bunch of friends from my community, and played some good old team deathmatch with one rule. If somebody asked you to take off something, you had to. But after a few months of playing every week, my friends started to move on, some losing interest in the game entirely. It became more and more difficult to find 8 people that wanted to play. I still wanted to play custom matches to get away from all the chaos in public matches, so I joined some public Scrim servers. Little did I know, this would be the beginning of some of the craziest improvement I would ever experience in Destiny 2. This was me 3 years ago. Like most people, I was terrible when I started out, having never played another FPS game on PC before this one. Over the years, I improved organically, getting my bearings on the game's movement and gunplay, learning interactions and abilities, and getting better gear the more I played. But in Season 16, I hit a wall, and then I hit the wall again, and again. I had stopped improving. I realized I had only gotten as good as whatever the most broken weapon was at the time, and there was nothing differentiating me from any of the other experienced players that could put together the same loadout. I was made purely by my loadout and nothing else. My mechanical skills weren't getting any better spamming DMT or crouching in corners with the fusion rifle. I was only as good as the guns could make me. I'm sure many of you could relate to this, and I decided something needed to change. At the time, I knew about the existence of scrims, but they seemed unapproachable, something that only tourney players did, and home to toxic players that would surely reject any newcomers like me. This is when I was introduced to this fellow, illPhysics. The entire premise of his community was to create a welcoming environment where any caliber of player
Come
could
see
show
me.
up and have fun and improve in his community, reject any names, but they seemed unapproachable.
I'll take
something
pride in
only
that for a
tourney
split.
players did, and
I'll
home to
take pride in
toxic
that for a
players
split.
would surely reject any
I don't
newcomers
celebrate
like me.
myself
This
enough.
is when I was introduced to this fellow, illPhysics. The entire premise of his community was to create a welcoming environment where any caliber of player could show up and have fun and improve in his scrims known as labs. I joined the server and put myself down as a level 3, experienced PvP player, then joined the first ping I got. I quickly got my ass handed to me by the scrim regulars, who completely outmatched me. I started learning that I wouldn't be able to ego challenge anyone, and I also couldn't play too passively, otherwise I'd contribute nothing to the team, and die when the spawns flip. Initially I had a lot of trouble keeping up with the regulars, as their rotations around the map were fast and deliberate. Around a weekend, I understood the flow and the patterns of the game, and I could feel myself improving faster than ever before. The way that labs were set up forced me into playing within fighting range, where my opponent would always be shooting back, unlike how I had been sitting in the back of the map with a ranged rifle before. I was also forced to reevaluate my movement, as any minor mistake in my movement was severely punished when playing against good players. I came to appreciate how the strict rule set created by an environment where every death had a lesson could be learned from it, not just accepting that you died to something out of your control like in most public matches. After playing on and off for a few months, I was able to properly develop my skills. I had leveled up my gunplay enough to be comfortable loading up into trials with whatever I felt like running, and performed pretty decently. As cliche as it sounds, playing with a hand cannon and a shotgun is the fastest way to properly train your gunplay and movement, since it's a loadout that has no weapons that have a dominant range, where if you're at the correct range, you just win every fight. The loadout has you fight a fair fight every time you take one. The skills I learned from the scrim environment are directly transferable to the rest of the game's PvP, and massively helped me break through the barrier that I had found myself at. Today, even though I don't play scrims a lot anymore, only from time to time, the experience has given me a new view on the game. I learned that anyone can get good at the game, they just need to put in a little effort. My newly acquired skills have also allowed me to enjoy PvP a lot more, with matchmaking headed in a skill-based matchmaking direction in nearly every game mode. The skills I learned allowed me to become more flexible with the loadouts that I wanted to run in my lobbies, allowing me to play the game the way I want to, for my own fun. The reason Destiny is so unique to me is the gameplay loop of grinding out PvE activities for the perfect role on any weapon I think looks fun, and being able to bring it into PvP and be rewarded for my grind. When 6v6 was changed to skill-based matchmaking, I thought the game would change for me, since I would be forced to put my head down and use the meta if I wanted to compete. After my experience in private matches, I was finally able to go back to playing the game the way I wanted to, putting on whatever weapons I thought looked fun at the time, and slaying out. If something in this video resonated with you, leave a comment down below. If you want to play private matches but don't know where to start, I will host private matches in my Discord if the interest is high enough. If not, the link to illPhysics Discord is in the description. Thanks for watching.
Yo, big ups to Zom for that, man. Seriously. He made the video that I should have made. He made the video that I should have made, man. So shout out to him again, man. just good peoples doing good things, man. Yo, what up, Dan? What's going on, baby? It is a Dan raid indeed. What's good? What's good? So if you want that video, I'll throw it here. I'll throw it in the Discord as well. Welcome, everybody. Danfidity in the build. Hope everybody's well. Thanks for always blessing me, man. I appreciate you. Make sure my folks go check out Dan over there. You see the link right there. One of my favorite people here in this community, man. So just such an easy recommendation, such an easygoing and fantastic community. Has a very similar mindset to me with regards to building community. So it's, it's easy to see like why we always vibe, man. So, and Dan, you know the vibes, man. If you ever need anything, content or otherwise, man, just let me know. And I hope that you and your partner are doing well, you and the family. But Dan's good peoples, man. Make sure folks go check out the content and the creator. Pick up some emotes if you're feeling mighty generous. We were doing the Labs Bootcamp a little bit earlier. I'll type in a couple links here if folks didn't know. That's our community scrims that we've been doing for years now. Got the socials there as well. So if you're, looking to improve in PvP, then this is the place. We got a nice community of dope folks that, we try to maintain, inclusivity and, maintain encouraging folks and mentoring folks to get better without them having to deal with toxicity and other bullshit that they would typically have to deal with in like competitive communities, irrelevant of, whether it's Destiny 2 or otherwise. So like I said, been doing it for years and, blessed to be able to continue to do it and blessed that folks see benefit in it. But like I said, make sure folks go check out the content creator over there. Dan is fantastic. Also another Destiny creator, mainly PvE. But I don't know, man. The personality's dope. The community's dope. What more can I say? Appreciate you, brother. Man. So big ups to Zom. I will, like I said, I think that was the appropriate link, right? Let me make sure that link was the right link or whether, yeah, that was the link for it. So I'll drop that link as well in the Discord for folks, especially if folks want to like pass that along to any of their friends who are thinking about, jumping in for labs and that sort of thing. Let's see. I'll throw it into kind of like the labs chat and also definitely into the ones and twos chat. Yep. So that's in there right there. Shit. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna throw it into the YouTube channel as well. It's just a good video for us. So so next weekend, the itinerary, right? The itinerary for next weekend is that we'll drop down, we'll play some games, we'll do some ones and twos so that we'll be able to kind of, folks will be able to take those lessons and all that information that we went over, yesterday and today for the boot camp, and we'll be able to put that in practice during the game. Zay had like a great idea, and we've done this before, but it was good that Zay reiterated the fact that we'll end up making restrictions like, okay, well, this game everybody moves as a team. Okay, well, this game right here, it's always a 3-1 split. That means somebody's always, splitting off. You guys can decide who that person is, but somebody's always splitting off, and you guys are trying to coordinate a pinch. Maybe this game right here, it's about, controlling space. So everybody's got their own kit. Make sure that your kit is set up for controlling your space and make it as hard as possible for the enemy team to push you, both individually or like 1v1, control your space. Run in drills. Exactly. So we'll do that next weekend. We'll do that next Sunday. I'll coordinate with folks in the Discord, try to, make sure that everybody's prepared for that and knows the time, et cetera, et cetera. And we'll go from there. But Dan just tossed it over. So I definitely got to find, somebody in our same frame of reference to send everybody over to. But that's it for me today. It's been a long weekend, and I'm gonna definitely get some rest. Let's see here. I think Wild Co. I think she is doing some trials. Is that what I see? So I think we might send it over to a Wild Co. Always just an easy host over there. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for the gentle reminder. Yes, I did promise we'd do that. Good point. Good point. So I'll go ahead and just type this in here. But Waltz did want me to check out some video that he sent me because we were like checking VODs yesterday and Waltz sent me some stuff and I want to make sure that I check that out. Let me find it real quick, Waltz. Gotcha. Good call. And thank you again for the gentle reminder, man. All right. You just get it set up here. All right. A little bit of quick VOD review. And it's Twitter compression, so everybody just, you know, work with us. It's Twitter compression. Can't do anything about that.
Zone A lost. You captured Zone C. You have advantage.
All right, so we're playing control. Got a Hawk Moon on. Love that. Nice. Oh, Titan. Let's go. Hell yeah. Nice. I was about to say, where's the barricade? Nice. I like it. Perfect. All right. That person was peeking while they were weak, and that's kind of crazy. Yep. Make sure you're not exposed to long right there. All right. We got a fusion. Okay. Cool. Kind of pre-in right there. Nice. I like that. Oh, beautiful. You sure this isn't this isn't bot review, bro? This is just you showing off, and I like it.
Keep the pressure on.
Nice. Good 3-peak with the super. Good 3-peak with the super. Yeah, this is just a flex at this point. And it's hammers too. I love that. Going through the sunspot. Love it. Nice. Another 2. Damn, you flexed on him. That's crazy. Okay, that was unfortunate because that person just was not prepared whatsoever. Good barricade.
Zone B lost.
We're getting a cap.
You captured Zone C. You have zone advantage.
What fusion rifle is that? Nice. Oh, you're just like me. You reload a lot. You're just like me. Nice. We're on a cap.
Zone A lost. 5
Yep. Watching the radar, using cover, making sure this is good too because you're making sure that you're cut off. Right? We talk about slicing the pie often. You're accessible to two different directions, right? Left and right. But you use the cover right here in order to slice the pie to make sure that you're only accessible to the direction that you're looking, only accessible to the line of sight, enemy line of sight that you're looking. So this is good. Same thing, you move, do the same thing. Little consecration action, we like that. Nice, I see you. Okay, all right, I see you. Little medals there. I dig it. Yeah. That was dope. That was just good intentional play, but I can tell like just good positioning. Yeah, I could tell. Nice patience. I don't have anything to critique. Except for, you know, the fact that just be aware. I mean, because I got to be nitpicky. I got to find something, right? The only thing I saw was just making sure that whenever you approach from that long lane, that somebody could be all the way in the back, down long, looking at you. But other than that, it was looking real good. Shadow Destiny released a video like 4 years ago iterating the 60-40 cover rule that I thought was really good. Yes, actually, that was a pretty good one. If you don't mind throwing that into the Discord if you can find it. In fact, hold on. I could find it easily, I think. Pretty sure. Hold up.
Guide and foundation.
Yep. Yeah, so I'll throw that into the Discord. Yep, you're right. I realized it'd be like an easy one for me to find, so throw that there. I'll throw that in Labs chat as well. All right, check that out if you want. We're going to send everybody over to a Wild Co. The game before, they were bagging. That's why they got the emoji. Ah, I gotcha. Well, I will say you did show them. You did indeed show them. Be sure to show plenty of love to Wild Co. Hopefully, I'll see everybody tomorrow. I'm going to try to make sure that I get some good rest today so that I can be back for tomorrow. Doing a little bit more on YouTube. Obviously, we got the YouTube stream going as well, multi-stream, and we'll continue to do that. I'll continue to make improvements on that side of things, but hopefully I'll be able to get a video to put out on YouTube too by the end of the week. That would be ideal. In the meantime, like I said, I posted some videos in the YouTube channel, in the Discord, and also in the 1s and 2s section of the Discord and the Labs chat Discord. Check those out at your leisure, especially if you're interested in labs. Yeah, appreciate you folks. Appreciate everybody that came through, and hopefully everybody found benefit in some of the things that we discussed today. And we'll definitely do a little bit more of practical drill exercises next Sunday. So big love. Like I said, show some love to Wild Co. Big love again to Dan, bringing his folks through. It's great to have you guys as always. Always feel blessed to know and be friends with Dan. Just excellent peoples, man. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. Keep your notifications on. Twitter, Discord, Blue Sky. I'll see you guys then. Peace.